Alex Tuck with 8 seconds puts it in the corner. 5 seconds to go. Welcome to Ellis Island in downtown Buffalo, New York. It's his first career shutout. 5-0 the final.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton Chaos Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Doan scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored all the other 3. They're back in action on Monday in Chicago, taking on the Blackhawks. So a little bit of a break there with puck drop set for 8:30. In the Masters, Sam Burns, Rory McIlroy currently tied at first, 5 under par. And around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. And ESPN's Jordan Reed said the Jets are, quote, reportedly extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's offseason program, putting him on track to lose $1 million in workout bonuses. Join Schopp and Bulldog for the annual pre-draft special Thursday, April 16th from 4 p.m. to 6:30 p.m., streaming live on YouTube. Get the latest on who is being mocked where, hear from the insiders, and guest appearances from Jeremy White, Joe DiBiase, Nate Geary, and Sal Capaccio. Brought to you by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals, visit your local Upstate Honda dealer today. Enter for your chance to win a trip to the night before the draft in Pittsburgh, April 22nd. It's an all-star invite-only concert starring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Prophet, just days before Jason's new album, Songs About Us, drops April 24th. Enter the national contest at Odyssey.com/the-night-before. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
I hadn't heard Dan's call of it because I was like yelling out of my chair as all of that was happening. He dives backwards. I can't even remember like what he was doing during all of that because it was just a schmozzle. He really earned the nickname last night. Colton Ellis.
That's
Colton
for sure.
Chaos.
That is for sure.
Well, you know what? Did he only earn the minute in that sequence was like peak Colton Chaos. What is happening? Where's the puck? He's on the ground. Oh, wait, now he doesn't have his helmet on.
Yeah.
Here they come on a rush. He puts the helmet on as he's grabbing his stick. Bang, save. So in those 2 minutes, he earned it. But, we'll get to it all. A lot of stuff to get to from a 5-0 win against Columbus, the out-of-town scoreboard. Montreal and Tampa had a mini version of what the Sabres and Lightning did in the 8-7 game last night. But for the other 58 minutes of that game, he was Colton calm last night.
That was what I had written down from my my notes last night. Was
Colton
like,
calm?
He looked better. He looked a little lion inspired to me. He looked like he was a little more under control in the net, and I liked when he brought out that athleticism a few times. It felt a little more appropriate. And so I was really, really impressed with him last night. I think it was really fun. And, we had the moments of Colton Chaos. I mean,
how about that sequence?
Helmet off to fix the hair, followed by picking the stick up and making that save was...
I don't think I've ever seen that.
The flow was important in the moment there. He had to do it.
I'll tell you, though, like, there are times when I was playing that your hair would drop down and, like, get in front of your face, and it was like, oh no, I can't see, this is bad. And I gave up a goal or two because my hair was blocking my face. So good on him for recognizing, I got the time. Let me fix this.
What would have been more chaotic? Going and making the save the way he did. Let me fix the hair, throw the mask on. Oh, here they come. Save.
Right.
Or if he had just thrown the mask on and we saw some replay after where he made the save like with his hair totally like covering his face.
Curtain in front of his eyes.
Yeah.
That would have been
like a Wookiee making the save.
Unbelievable.
One-on-one.
Unbelievable. I mean, what a night for that kid. For months, he has been sitting there watching these other two guys play and play great in front of this awesome team now. And he finally gets his shot to get in there, and he has that kind of night. I mean, that's as good as it gets for a guy. That is super fun. I'm sure he is feeling over the moon today as he wakes up and realizes what he just did last night. And the moment, the spot it was. I mean, the game was huge for Columbus and Buffalo. So it was, I mean, a really great performance out of Ellis that I think we'll all probably remember because of the crazy circumstances of, like, you know, Lyon gets hurt the day before, Ellis is thrown in there, and he plays like that. It was really fun.
Yeah. So many good things, so many good moments from last night. It's Jeremy and Joe. We'll have Brian at 7. We'll talk, of course, about last night's game. Brian was there, back from vacation on the broadcast. So we'll talk with him about this game, the Masters as well. We're through a round. Rory was lights out last night, so no questions about his motivation and how much he wants to play or win. He just, roars out and shoots a 67. And is tied atop the tournament lead, which is kind of amazing that he's not alone. But Sam Burns had the same day.
Yep.
So 2 guys at 5 under, Jason Day right behind him, Patrick Reed, couple of vets that have big names that are in contention as well early. So Brian at 7. We'll have Joe Yerdon at 8 and Paul at 9. So a lot of hockey today. As we go into the weekend where the Sabres don't play, the league doesn't play tonight. Great. Good move there.
What is wrong with them?
No games.
Come on.
Nothing. Not even like, we got a tank game tonight between the 2 last place teams. And nothing. There's a single game. Nothing.
What a horrible miss by them.
So, lot to get to on this game. What was everyone's favorite moment from this game? Was it the Ellis hair flip?
The Ellis hair flip was awesome. I got to tell you, watching Logan Stanley jump into a rush and make a seam pass to Jack Quinn for an assist I jumped up out of my seat. Oh my goodness, the big man did it. He did the Sabres thing. He did the Sabres defenseman thing and joined the play and made a great pass. I thought that was just sort of emblematic of the whole night in terms of everybody was going last night at some point. Everybody pitched in, and that was really fun for me.
Yeah. I think it's hard also not to pick the Doan play on his first goal.
Yeah.
Is because at that point, the game is 1-0, and it's a little bit of a lull, right? I'm wondering, are they going to be able to win this game 1-0? Or are they going to be able to get this game home without allowing a goal 1-0? Can they do that? Because it had been looking good for that. They had kind of like the Ranger game the day before. They're not really allowing a lot of chances.
Yep.
There are a few. Ellis seems locked in. Part of why there aren't a lot of chances, and this is another credit to him, and Colton Calm last night, is every save he made, it felt like no rebound.
Yep.
Nothing. No chaos around me. I get a puck that hits me in the helmet. Nope, I got it. Nothing that's dropping down in front of me. So that helped not create chances after the fact, but it was shots from the point. As long as Ellis was going to see it, then I feel like they were going to be fine the way they were playing defensively. Get it out of the zone, nothing fancy. Oh, Dahlin up the boards to Doan up the boards to Benson out of the zone. Just bang, 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 clear it. Let's move on.
Yeah.
And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is. I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's
100%.
a veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here, and doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed, because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but he
Right.
didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround, where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it. We've got possession. I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour, and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it, because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yeah.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yeah. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy. I don't know. I don't know if he'll do this every year. I had that thought last night. Like, there might be, and this is kind of the point, though, about the value of his game beyond goal scoring. I do feel like there'll be a year where he scores 19 goals.
Sure.
And I'll still look at his season and think, that was a good season.
Absolutely.
A valuable season. You'll pull up his these fancy charts from, like, Evolving Hockey, and it's like, okay, he had 19 goals that year, but he was 96th percentile defensively for forwards.
Yeah.
I think I'm good.
Everything's all right there. Yeah, exactly. He is so much fun to watch because of stuff like that. It almost reminds me a little bit. Datsuk used to do that all the time, where he would track back on guys and pick the pocket and just turn it right up the ice.
Yeah.
And that plays so well into what the Sabres do. They're so quick to transition. And when you've got guys that can make transitions happen in different ways, whether it be retrievals on D and you get quick ups by having great breakout passes. That's one way to transition quickly. Or you get track back, forced turnovers that you can turn on a dime and get up ice, like Doan had last night. And it makes you dangerous no matter what is happening, no matter what the opposing team is trying to do to you. Because whether you're trying to carry the puck around and transport it on your stick, you've got guys like Doan, Norris does it, Benson does it, that will track you down and steal it off you and turn it right around and go. Mm-hmm. Or if you're going to try and dump it in on them, guess what? We've got D that are going to go back there, take that puck, make a guy miss, and break the puck out in one fail swoop. And then you're going.
Yeah.
And that is why they play so fast so often. There's no one way to counterpunch them. You can't go, all right, well, they're retrieving pucks so well, we got to try and enter with control and do that. But no, you can't. They're too long on the blue line. They got too much length there. They're too good as skaters, and their forwards will track back too well.
Right.
And you get stuck in this loop as an opposing team against them, I think, where you don't know what to do. How are we getting away from these guys? They won't get off of us. We can't do anything. And that is why I think you see these third periods especially that become so just muddied up for these other teams. And it's really, really fun to watch. And I just think they've got players that accentuate the things that they coach into them. Mm-hmm. And it's really impressive. As a full organization, it feels like they have the kind of harmony that you talk about, that we hear the Bills talk about, right? Like, I think Yarmo's bringing in guys, Kevin Adams brought in guys that can do the things that Lindy Ruff and Seth Appert want to do, and those players are willing to execute. And that's why you've got 106 points. Like, that's it.
106 points. Look at this. Look at this. Look
insane.
At this season. Look at that night. I mean, I don't know how this thing will end. I don't know if there'll be a banner next year to raise a division banner, maybe something beyond it. I don't know what that'll look like. If they'll win a round, if they'll go out and won, even if they get Boston. I can't wait to talk about the playoff matchups and the schedules that all these teams have remaining. It's so fun right now because I feel like because of where they are and we're at the end of the season like this, I feel like I have something to root for in every game I'm watching. And that is so much fun. Minnesota, Dallas last night. Sabre game ends. Montreal game ends. And it's, all right, what else is going on in the league? Oh, Dallas, Minnesota. They're going to play in the playoffs. Oh, wait. We want Dallas to play for nothing in the final game. So we want them to win. And they come back and win, by the way. I had not stayed up for the entirety of that game. But let me throw that game on for a couple of minutes. Every game matters to some extent, even if it's only a little bit. Like that game, Dallas, Minnesota. It barely matters to the end result here for the Sabres, but because of the meaning of the standings and the playoffs and the end of the season here, just feels like everything matters a little bit. And again, I don't know how it'll be remembered, but these nights you're getting in the building are spectacular. My brother, who goes to some games but not a ton of games, and he checked out at some point. I don't know, year 11 maybe, year 12 maybe it ended up being. Which that's a lot of people. You only have so much bandwidth. Like, how long can I do this? And it became, I'll call you. Call me when they're good again.
Yep.
So I called him this year. He's going to games again. He goes last night. That's a great game to go to.
Yeah.
Ellis with the shutout being there for, I was there at the Ellis shutout game. Maybe he'll be here long enough that we'll have more of those. But that's like the kickoff to, all right, here I am. Lions hurt. That was tough news yesterday.
Yeah,
like,
of course.
Into the playoffs. I tweeted out yesterday, like, I think there's a chance, and you said this too, about like what they might do in the offseason. We can get to that, but that Lion, he's maybe played his last game for the Sabres. And
it's entirely possible.
I don't take pleasure in saying that. He has been awesome all year long. I thought he would take over the job this year.
Me too.
When he was signed. And he did for a while, and then played well enough that it was 1A, 1B. So, like, what a season if he doesn't appear for them again. It's going to be Luukkonen. We all know that. Like, It's going to be Luukkonen once the playoffs arrive. But the confidence that you might have in Ellis, even just from that one game, and even add in the 2 periods against Washington, if he had not played in relief and even started this game, Lyon just stayed healthy, had a good night against Washington. They had a good night against Washington, and we don't see Ellis. And then, bang, he gets an injury in practice. Then you're going into the playoffs, and you're thinking, I got a guy who hasn't seen the ice in 2.5 months that is a heartbeat away from being my goalie in the playoffs.
Yep.
And now to have got a couple of periods, then got a start, and had a 36-save shutout against a desperate team, by the way. Oh, should I not? I mean, did they look desperate last night? I was not really impressed by Columbus.
No, they look like they were out of gas. But they used up their gas tank, it seems like.
But what a performance to give everybody a little confidence. Okay, if he had to go in, and I think everybody hopes we don't get to that place, I'm not as horrified as I would have been otherwise, because he had a game where he looked like a legitimate NHL goalie on top of a season where he wasn't incredible, but he kind of looked like an NHL goalie most times he was in the net.
Yeah, absolutely. You saw sort of a glimpse of what he's capable of, I think, in the future last night. It's not going to be that consistent yet for him, but that's in there for him, and that's impressive. That was a great game last night. And so it absolutely should, instill some confidence in them. And I am curious what it might mean for their plans in the future, or if it changes anything. And I just, it was a great night for him. That matters so much because no matter what, whether he's here, whether he's somewhere else, the Sabres or another team will have watched that game last night and said, all right, that was pretty good. Can we get that out of him all the time? And if we can, then that's a guy we want on our team. And so, he did himself a lot of favors last night, and good for him. Not just himself, but the Sabres. So, yeah, it's going to be a really fun ride here as they get close out these final two games and find out who the opponent is, and all that stuff starts to shape up.
Yeah, what was the most impressive thing about his game last night? Was it the tracking? There was a play that they even showed on the replay, and I think Rob broke it down after, where he's looking off to one side. I think Samuelsson was engaged with another Blue Jacket right in front of him, and he's peeking around the right of Samuelsson and the Blue Jacket player. The wrist shot comes in, and it goes to the left, and he knows where it's going, and he grabs it with the glove. I think Rob said, maybe before he'd seen the replay, I think that was going wide. You saw the replay, that was going in.
Oh, yeah.
If he had not seen that puck and got over there, and that's not a highlight reel save. He had a couple of those too.
Yes.
Third period, diving across. But was it the tracking?
I think that play you're describing right there is a big indicator of when a guy's feeling good. Because when what that play is, what you're describing is a point shot with what we call a flash screen. So you see release, after release, before the puck gets to you, bodies cross your face, you lose the puck. And what you do at that point is you have to basically project. And you go, all right, I saw the first 3 feet of this puck traveling based on what the thousands, hundreds of thousands of reps I've got of watching pucks fly at me. I know that based on the first 3 feet of that, it's going to end up right here. So I'm going to just put my glove there because I know that's where it's going. And he nailed it. And that is, that means the computer is on and running. That is, right. I just, in my mind's eye, drew the rest of this shot through and put my glove right where it needed to be. Webbing, done, whistle, we're off. And that is huge. I talk about that with Luukkonen a lot. Is he tracking it well? Does it look like he's seeing the puck? That is always, to me, a massive indicator of how goaltender's feeling, and that was a big one last night. I also really liked how well he was able to stay within himself even when he was scrambling. There was the one, I think the third period save you're referencing, he went from his right to his left, hard across the net after kind of a weird broken play.
It was on the power. It was a Columbus power play, I think, too. Yeah.
And he is down in his butterfly in the middle of his crease, has to turn and push hard, but he doesn't flop all the way forward. He stays with a little bit, he stacks up vertically, and that allows him to cover all of the net. Because the puck was in tight. If he's able to get a little over top of it, there's nowhere for that puck to go into the net. Physically, you can't do it based on the angle. Right. And he did a perfect job of that and just gave them nothing. There was no way that they were going to get that past them. And that kind of stuff, I think, is also a big indicator. I know exactly what I need to do to fill the entirety of my net right now. I know I can do something that eliminates any chance of scoring. Here it is, bang, done. Big save. And it makes it look easy.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
After not playing a full game, for that long.
Yeah.
I mean, he's getting, but even, he's getting practice reps, but 3 goalies, you're only getting, half the reps that you normally would be?
Probably not even, because you've got one goalie starting in his own net, and then you're splitting time with the other guy. So it's, a quarter of what you would get if it was a 2-goalie rotation.
For just a moment here, because I don't want to leave the moment and the place that this season is in, the standings, the playoff matchup probabilities, last night. There's so much from last night that I don't want to spend more than a few minutes on fast forwarding, but I am thinking a lot about him for the future. I mean, that could be it, right? If they don't lock up the division before the last game of the year, and Luukkonen is just solid in the playoffs, or Lyon even comes back, that will be that's our first impression of Colton Ellis, complete. We saw him play 15 games. I think it's 13 starts. That's our first taste of what's Colton Ellis. He is a 25-year-old goalie that was the number 1 goalie prospect in his organization. He was a third-round pick, so not out of nowhere as a draft pick, if you want that. He had great numbers in the AHL, right?
Yeah.
Like multiple years of phenomenal numbers in the AHL. It was building up to, okay, this guy should be in the NHL. He's done it long enough as a young goalie that he's ready for the next step.
Right.
And then you look at this year, 8-4-1, including last night, now a .904 save percentage, 6 goals saved above expected, which for goalies that played around a number of games he did, it's like top of the league. Last night helps that a lot, obviously. Like last night he saved 3.3, so it's like half his season of that number. But still, it counts.
It matters.
It counts. I mean, why shouldn't he be worthy of being at least Luukkonen's backup in the future? Like what makes him even different than Devin Levi? Is it just the college career?
It's just that.
Is he not St. Louis's Devin Levi that came in this year and had a good season playing 13 starts?
He's had just as good of a pro career as Levi has. And I think has less.
Well, now I think you have to maybe say even better because of the NHL numbers.
I think that's right. I don't think there's any way. I mean, does Levi do what he did this year with the better team in front of him? Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. That's right.
But you don't know that, and you can't guess that. And I think Ellis also probably doesn't have some of the attitude questions that Levi has. I think he rubs people the wrong way sometimes. And I think that can change your standing in an organization, and it seems like Ellis is the opposite of that. Ellis is a guy that everybody seems to really love and that seems willing to do the third goalie job, which is something that I don't think Levi wanted to do. And I think he made that known. So that matters to a team a lot. So I don't see any reason that you would think that Ellis isn't ahead of Levi in their minds right now. There's nothing to indicate that.
Sure.
I know that this was the plan with Levi, but
I almost feel like at this point the better question might be, is he above Lyon?
Right.
For next year. Because Lyon, as good as he was all year long, and this would really be the risk of it, veteran guy. Let's get to that when we come back. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but like, did Ellis really earn a long-term plan here for him, where we're thinking about his development? Young goalie, good goalie, great goalie prospect, even if you want it, from his AHL numbers. Proven now over 13 games in the NHL. Playing all over the place, schedule-wise. You know, not appearing for a month, then getting in, and then not appearing for 2 months, and then getting in. And, he posted a shutout. I'm just really impressed with the year he had, and I think that there's a further conversation about his role going forward. So we'll get to that when we come back, and also what we saw in Montreal, Tampa last night. There's more from this game, of course, to get to, and we'll get to that with Brian and Joe Yerdon and Paul all along the way this morning. If you want to get in on it, you had an observation. What was your favorite moment from last night? I feel like you could pick a few. 803-0550 is the phone number. Matchups too. There's so much to get to on this Friday. It's Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy is off today, and this is WGR.
Alex Tuck with 8 seconds puts it in the corner. 5 seconds to go. Welcome to Ellis Island in downtown Buffalo, New York. It's his first career shutout. 5-0 the final.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton
Chaos.
Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Doan scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored the other 3. They're back in action on Monday, so a little break here in Chicago taking on the Blackhawks. Puck drop is set for 8:30. In the Masters, Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy currently tied at first, 5 under par. And around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. ESPN's Jordan Reed said that the Jets are reported to be extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's offseason program, putting him on track to lose $1 million in workout bonus. In baseball, the Blue Jays play the Twins at 7:07. The Yankees lost 1-0 to the A's. They play the Rays tonight at 7:10. The Mets lost 7-1 to Arizona. They play the A's at 7:10. And the Red Sox play the Cardinals at 8:15. Join Chopin Bulldog for the annual pre-draft special Thursday, April 16th from 4 p.m. to 6:30. Streaming live on YouTube. Get the latest on who is being mocked where, hear from the insiders, and guest appearances from Jeremy White, Joe DiBiase, Nate Geary, and Sal Capaccio. Brought to you by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals, visit your local Upstate Honda dealer today. Those are your Paddock Chevrolet sports headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Puck comes back out to center. 12:47 to go in the third. Coyle under pressure. Steal. Doan. Fires. Scores! Oh my Josh. What a goal by Doan. And it's 2-0 Buffalo.
It's one of your first moments of the game. For all the moments in your life, go fourth to first. Does Twitter has an algorithm of some sort? They must, right?
Everybody's got an algorithm.
Because I'm over here and I open Twitter up during the break and
Seeing eggs and mac and cheese?
No, I've not seen that. That's not in my feed. It's definitely in your feed. We've learned that.
Yeah.
But not in mine. I'm looking through and on the right it's today's news. What's the top thing? Lightning coach John Cooper blasts refs after penalty-filled loss to Canadiens. Click. What a 180 for me. I don't know if it's happening for everybody, but
me too.
Now you're blaming the penalty box attendant the other night. Now you're yelling about the penalties. I don't want to get too much into Lightning and Canadiens yet, but they were a bunch of goons last night attacking. Maybe in the second period, Sabres were up 1-0. Period ends. You might have thought, all right, is Montreal Tampa at intermission yet? No. 5 minutes left in the second period because they could not stop fighting last night. So that game was taking longer to go on. So 5 minutes left. Perfect. Throw that game on the big screen. Let me see what's going on. Immediately, Braden Point runs the goalie, Jacob Dobish, and now I've got a bunch of guys that are tussling and the gloves are off for a couple of them. And two Lightning players are going after two Canadiens players that are not willing combatants.
Right.
Alex Tessier was one of them. I don't know who the other one was. They're not trying to fight. They're not fighters. And I've got Lightning guys coming in from over top. Radish and maybe Perry was the other one.
Yeah.
And they got only 2 minutes of penalties more than Montreal even did there. That one could have been worse. And here's Cooper being like, I was surprised they got 6 power plays in a row. We must have been, I guess, the aggressors, apparently. You were. 100%. That guy can't win Coach of the Year.
No, I agree.
Control your group. How about that?
Yeah, how about make
Control
your
your
guys
group.
not insane and cost themselves games all the time because they can't stay out of the box.
Yep.
Coach.
They did that kind of against the Sabres. Part of that game, 8-7, was the Lightning couldn't stay out of the box because they were losing. Maybe, is that a different way of being soft?
Yes.
You're getting beat. You're getting outmatched physically, even in some of these games, against teams you're not used to having that happen to, and you can't take it.
It's exactly what it is. It's a team that thinks it's a team that thinks they're too good to be beat. And when they get beat, they don't like it. So they gotta make it a problem. And they gotta make it, gross.
Yeah.
And I think that's, when they came into town in early March, and they did that against the Sabres, I came on here and I said, I think it was a sign of respect from them. I think it was them seeing you and going, all right, let's take these guys for a ride. Let's see if they can hang. And I think you hung with them, and even through the course of that game, I think it changed from them testing you out to them deciding, this isn't okay. I don't like this. I'm going to try and bully these guys. And they couldn't. They couldn't bully the Sabres into a win. They couldn't bully Montreal into a win.
Yep,
and I think it's slipping away from them, and they know it. I think they know that they're not the big dogs anymore. They're not alone at the top of the class. It's no longer just them in Florida. And Florida's gone. It's just you guys left, and you're getting knocked off the mountaintop, and I don't think they like it.
They've lost 3 in a row to the Sabres. They've lost 2 in a row to the Canadiens.
Yeah.
Now they're in third in the division. 803-0550 is the phone number. More on that game and what that did to the odds and the schedules of some of these teams remaining in a bit. But we were talking about Colton Ellis. He's the star of the game last night.
Yeah.
The curtain call the players had him do, Beck Malenstein making sure, get back out here, curtain call. And then he got another one with being the first star of the game.
Right.
I thought the locker room clip, all year the belt, whoever gets the belt, has been awesome.
They've been doing a good job with that. Yeah.
The videos of that have been great. And last night's was really cool. Lindy greeting him in, and then I couldn't tell who it was. Someone was domping water on him.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell who that was. Someone that was a healthy scratch, obviously.
Yeah.
So that's going on. But Ellis, look, again, I think that this could be it for him this year. So that's our first impression.
Yep.
Is he the number 2 or even the 1B next year?
I think it's a really interesting question.
And if he is, what am I doing then with Lyon and Levi? Because I think next year Levi needs waivers.
Right.
So you can't have 4 goalies.
No.
You could have 3. You've proven it. I don't know that that's ideal. I don't know that anybody really wants that. I don't know that, again, I kind of want to be thinking about Ellis here, that if you think at 25 years old, this guy has got the chops to be Luukkonen's long-term partner, then what's going to be best for him is to clear out some more games and not have him be out of the rotation for weeks and months at a time. So it sounds cutthroat, but I'm wondering a lot about them trading both Lyon and Levi this summer to clear out space for him.
I think you should be, because the fundamental question of it is, do you take one more year of Alex Lyon, knowing that you're probably going to get a very steady, predictable, strong season?
Right.
Or do you take the bet on the young kid that could be as good as UPL, better than UPL for the next 7, 8, 10 years? That is the kind, Ellis is not a true number 1, like Jesper Wallstedt level goalie prospect, but he's the tier right below that. He is a guy that could have a 10-year NHL career. It doesn't have to be a great one, but he could be that. So you are asking, do you take 1 year of what you know you're getting out of Lyon, or do you want to take the bet and say Ellis can do that job for 1 year? Maybe it's a little worse for that 1 year, but moving forward, we've got a guy that we think could develop into a piece for us. it's a futures question. It's a real interesting, I think, philosophical debate that they will have to have with themselves. Of Lyon was great this year. True, like great. I loved him.
Top 5 in like a lot of categories.
Yeah, really, really good. But he's old. His contract's expiring, and it's coming to the end for him. So you've got a guy that could be Lyon almost
like for the long haul.
Yeah, exactly. And so you've got this really, really good sort of problem to have, and they've got to figure that out. I think that I think Ellis did himself favors last night because he looked better as a goal, like to a goalie eye. If I'm a goalie coach watching him play that game, and it's his first game other than the mop-up duty the other night against Washington, it's his first start in months, and I see the kind of progression in terms of his sort of effectiveness, his ability to stay calm in the moment, a little more structured. If I see that come through in 2 months with no games, only practices, where I'm splitting time with whoever the backup is that game, I think as a coach, I'm going, I feel pretty good about what this kid can be. And I'm probably going to my GM and saying, listen, I liked what I've seen, and I would like to keep this kid if we can. But there's the obvious, well, we're trying to win, and if he's a tire fire next year, because he could be, it's entirely realistic.
Yeah.
But
what's funny, though, is that hasn't happened to him.
No.
This is the first year in the NHL, and it's 15 games, and it hasn't happened. It has never, just looking at save percentage, like, I'm not watching him in Springfield, but
right.
He's never really had that year in the AHL, it doesn't look like. He never really had that year in juniors, so, okay, yeah, he could be, but it hasn't happened to him yet at any level of hockey. So that would be new, but that is the risk. I think more than that, you don't keep him all year if you don't think of him in a long-term lens.
No, I agree with that. I don't think you keep him and invest sort of this much
the time
and this much annoyance in Levi if you think anything of him still.
And in maybe the other two guys, like you're not always getting your practice reps all the time, and maybe you're losing a start here and there because there's a third guy in the picture. And Lindy's got to deal with, like, everybody's just got a little bit more of an annoyance to deal with because he's here. And he's approached it. He said yesterday, like, I love the situation I'm in.
Yeah.
Which, that's a lot to say when you're a goalie that's never really playing. And for him to say that, and for them to deal with, we'll deal with 3 goalies all year long because him being a part of the organization is worth it. I don't think you then go in the summer and say, okay, now we're going to let you go. Now we're going to waive you for nothing. Like, I don't think that really makes sense. I think he's got to be here. I'd like to see him be here.
I would too.
I would guess they want him to be here.
Yep.
So then it comes down to if you want to do 3 goalies again.
Yeah.
You could do that. You could say,
sure.
hey, you have to see how this would go over with the other guys though. More so Lyon than Luukkonen, because Luukkonen's not losing a lot of starts. Mm-hmm. Is Lyon going to be happy if you go to him and say, instead of playing, what do you end up at this year? 36 games?
Yeah, 36.
You might be playing more like 25 games this year because we want to get Ellis up around like 25, 26 games. Are you good with that? He might.
Maybe.
To stick around, but he also would know the year he just had and think, or I could just go be the Oilers starting goalie.
Correct. Or, all right,
like they're number 1.
We have another scenario here that you could think about, and it could be they go into next year starting with 3 and let Ellis run a little bit and see how that feels and how that looks.
They make a call then.
And then if you like it, you say you go to Lyon and say, all right, are you good to go? Like, can we trade you somewhere? Because you obviously deserve to play. We know that. Mm-hmm. Let's move you.
It'll be interesting when the summer gets here.
Yep.
803-0550, the phone number. What was your favorite moment from last night? If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to you. Brian coming up in the 7 o'clock hour on the Masters and last night's game. Coming up on Jeremy and Joe on WGR.
He is so much fun to watch because of stuff like that. It almost reminds me a little bit. Datsuk used to do that all the time, where he would track back on guys and pick the pocket and just turn it right up the ice.
Yeah.
And that plays so well into what the Sabres do. They're so quick to transition. And when you've got guys that can make transitions happen in different ways, whether it be retrievals on D and you get quick ups by having great breakout passes. That's one way to transition quickly. Or you get track back, forced turnovers that you can turn on a dime and get up ice, like Doan had last night. And it makes you dangerous no matter what is happening, no matter what the opposing team is trying to do to you. Because whether you're trying to carry the puck around and transport it on your stick, you've got guys like Doan, Norris does it, Benson does it, that will track you down and steal it off you and turn it right around and go. Mm-hmm. Or if you're going to try and dump it in on them, guess what? We've got D that are going to go back there, take that puck, make a guy miss, and break the puck out in one fail swoop. And then you're going.
Yeah.
And that is why they play so fast so often. There's no one way to counterpunch them. You can't go, all right, well, they're retrieving pucks so well, we got to try and enter with control and do that. But no, you can't. They're too long on the blue line. They got too much length there. They're too good as skaters, and their forwards will track back too well.
Right.
And you get stuck in this loop as an opposing team against them, I think, where you don't know what to do. How are we getting away from these guys? They won't get off of us. We can't do anything. And that is why I think you see these third periods, especially.
The Honda Spring event is here. Visit your upstate.
Just muddied up for these other teams. And it's really, really fun to watch. And I just think they've got players that accentuate the things that they coach into them. Mm-hmm. And it's really impressive. As a full organization, it feels like they have the kind of harmony that you talk about, that we hear the Bills talk about, right? Like, I think Yarmo's bringing in guys, Kevin Adams brought in guys that can do the things that Lindy Ruff and Seth Appert want to do, and those players are willing to execute. And that's why you've got 106 points. Like, that's it.
106 points. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is. I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's
100%.
a veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here, and doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed, because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but he
Right.
didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround, where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it, we've got possession, I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour, and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it, because your feet aren't set, you don't have the depth you probably want, you're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick, and he places it perfectly. It's just a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yep.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mind. Wait is over, and we're going to be seeing playoff games. Sabres are back. WGR Sports Radio 550, your home for all the moments. Grab your Let's Go Buffalo playoff sign. Right over here. Lenko Supplies. You can get it at Lenko Supplies. And get there with Liberty Cab. Your ride on time every time. Brian Koziol and your calls when we return here on Jeremy and Joe. This is WGR. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is, I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's 100%. A veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here. And doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed. Because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but
right.
He didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it, we've got possession, I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yep.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yep. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy.
Alex Tuck with 8 seconds puts it in the corner. 5 seconds to go. Welcome to Ellis Island in downtown Buffalo, New York. It's his first career shutout. 5-0 the final.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton Chaos. Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Stone scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored the other 3. They're back in action on Monday in Chicago, taking on the Blackhawks. Puck drop set for 8:30. Season's coming to a close quickly here. In the Masters, Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy currently tied at first, 5 under par. And around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. ESPN's Jordan Reed said the Jets are reportedly extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. And Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's offseason program, putting him on track to lose a $1 million workout bonus. In baseball, Blue Jays play the Twins at 7:07. The Yankees lost 1-0 to the A's. They play the Rays tonight at 7:10. The Mets lost 7-1 to Arizona. They play the A's at 7:10. And the Red Sox play the Cardinals at 8:15. Enter for a chance to win a trip to the night before the draft in Pittsburgh, April 22nd. It's an all-star invite-only concert starring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Prophet, just days before Jason's new album, Songs About Us, drops April 24th. Enter the national contest at Odyssey.com/the-night-before. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Are there any shots, any holes that you think of where, like, hey, I really have to dial in the mental preparation for the shot?
Yes.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18.
Fair enough.
This course tests you every single. And when it's windy like this, the wind switches. It's really, really tricky. So, it's testing you every single hole.
Sergio Garcia. We'll talk Masters with Brian Koziol. Good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe. Jeremy off today. Following the Colton Ellis legacy game. What a night for him. The Sabres win 5-0. We'll talk some hockey with Brian as well. In the break, I was just looking up where Colton Ellis is from, by the way. And he's from like a town of 800 people, like way out in Nova Scotia, like so far off. Like towards the Atlantic, like very like a cliff town, it almost looks like. So the legend of Colton Ellis is becoming real. Before we get to Brian, one quick call. Dominic's been waiting patiently on hold. What's up, Dominic? Go ahead.
Hey Joe, how's it going?
Good.
I was just calling. My favorite moment of last night was the offensive dynamo Logan Stanley and his silky mitts getting it done with that assist.
Yep.
Not really. I did like seeing Stanley get involved. I like Stanley and Metz together. Stanley with anyone else I don't like, but for some reason with Metz it just like seems like it just goes well. And the only other thing I wanted to say was I didn't have time to call yesterday because I was busy, but like the Bowen Byram thing, I know you mentioned it, tapping the guy in the head. That was like just absolute cinema. It was so funny watching him do that because the guy deserved it. He tried to hit him late. And then I think another time I didn't call was it against the Kraken that Luukkonen stopped the penalty shot? I forgot what team it was.
I think so.
Yeah, and then I know he did. But like the way he caught it and just like instead of giving it to the ref or just standing with it, just like tosses out to middle ice. Like get that out of my face, like you didn't have a chance. Like I just love the way this team is like kind of like feeling themselves, as the kids say right now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's all.
There's a mojo right now with them. Thanks, Dominic, for the call. Yeah, it's funny when they're good like this. You notice the little things all along the way and remember them. I agree. I think, and actually Lindy said this last night, I think, that was Stanley's best game. And I would agree with that. He made a couple plays early in the game, patient on the wall, get it up to the right guy, get it out of the zone. Like he was on point last night, I thought. And right, the pass to Quinn on his goal was his best play as a Sabre so far. Brian Koziol now on the Western Hotline. We will talk Masters, tee to green tomorrow, and a lot of interesting things at Augusta. The leaderboard's really exciting, but we'll start with last night, Brian, because that game, there have been a lot of great games to be at this year, and you got back from vacation just in time for a pretty good one.
Yeah, that was a really good one, Joe. The third period was one of their best periods, I would say here in a while. It was such a complete effort. That second goal that they end up scoring, Columbus kind of had to open things up because obviously they were in desperate mode, and it just lended exactly right into what Buffalo was wanting there, that they could them also get their offensive opportunities. What Doan and Benson were able to do, so impressive. Jack Quinn continues to now look like, his weaponry with his shot is there all the time now. And then Peyton Krebs seemingly thinking that, hey, I've got a weapon and a shot, even though he's a pass-first player. He says it all the time. He told Paul after the end of the first period last night, he goes, I'm a pass-first guy. Yeah, so you're getting contributions from others, and obviously Ellis ends up being the big story of the night, though. I mean, I know yesterday the thought of, like, who's going to start? Would you push Lukin in? Does he give you the best chance to win? Then we find out from Lindy Ruff that Alex Lyon has a strained muscle and might not be ready to even start the playoffs. So now you bring Colton Ellis into the equation, and he gets his first start since February 3rd and delivers an outstanding performance, even chaotic at times, which I know is part of the lure of watching him.
Yep.
What a performance by him. And I thought it was a really cool moment at the end of the game. I don't know how much the TV broadcast showed, but at the end of the game there, the four players, Tuck's out there, Malinstein's out there, they're banging the stick. They want a curtain call for Ellis, and he eventually then comes out and circles again, and the crowd goes nuts. And just, I mean, what a cool scene. There's been a lot of them this year with the resurgence and the excitement coming back at KeyBank Center, but that one right there was definitely near the top of the list.
Yeah, I was still kind of edge of my seat even after Dahlin gets the empty netter. The game is so far out of hand. I mean, really, after Quinn scores, you probably felt like it was a shoo-in. But I just really wanting that shutout, right? Like a guy that hasn't played in that long and has just like done the work, been fine, no complaints. Even said last night, right? Like, I love the situation I'm in, which not everybody would say that when you're not really playing almost ever. And just putting his head down, and it was the performance that also deserved the shutout, right? It wasn't just the team was locking everything down and he made 18 saves. There were great saves along the way last night for him.
For sure. And I think obviously, guys, when a goalie has the chance to get a shutout, the team seems to kind of rally around that point of, hey, let's get this guy his shutout. I have never seen the animation from the bench like I saw last night. I mean, literally, there's 3 minutes left. He makes a save, and Luukkonen is like almost on the ice. He's like literally over on the edge of the boards, banging up against the wall, like, yes, let's go here, let's go. And I mean, you'll see a couple of guys lay out for you're up literally 4-0 and 5-0, and guys are selling out for block shots like hey, we're 2 minutes from winning the Stanley Cup here kind of mentality. And, guys on the bench are going bonkers every time there's a block shot or a big save or a clear. And the crowd, too. I mean, that's also another thing, too, that's so great about this resurgence with this team is that the crowd seemingly is also aware of these things along the way here. They're into each shift. They realize what's happening. And the whole energy of the building, whether it was the Sabre bench, the Sabre players on the ice, whether it was the crowd, it was like, all right, we have one mission here, and this is to get Ellis this shutout here. And, obviously all together they made it happen.
Yeah. Brian Koziol with us. That game I think is important too, right? If Lyon is going to be out into the playoffs, like I don't know, like you might need Ellis. You hope you don't, but you might. And if he had not played at all with even this game or even the couple of periods against Washington, just hadn't seen the ice, Brian, and he had to get pressed into duty in a playoff game, I think everybody would be crazy nervous. Like, oh, Ellis is in net now. Whereas now, I don't think it's ideal, but I think there's a confidence now, even that just last night could have given the players, the coaches, the fans, of course, too, and maybe even Ellis himself.
Yeah, I don't want to sit here and think that, like, okay, Alex Lyon has been surpassed or anything like that, but I think Ellis, if he is called upon or if he needs to come in a playoff game now, that you're right. I think that the team and himself can say, like, okay, we're still in this game kind of thing. It's not like, we're sunk because we have to put in our third goaltender. The Lions scenario, I think, of last night, I thought maybe set up more so. I don't know. I would love to be able to ask Lindy, hey, if Lyon was healthy, then that would have been a Lion game, right? Like, I guess that would have been
right.
that would have been my assumption. But with Lyon out, then I would have loved to have then say, okay, my follow-up is, how hard did you consider going Luukkonen back-to-back because of the importance of the game in the standings and how much value you put in winning the division and home ice in the playoffs, and then obviously ultimately he goes with Ellis, and I think you can argue all three. If you have a healthy Lyon, I think maybe that's the strongest argument of three. But now going into the playoffs, you're right. If Ellis needs to come onto the ice for some reason, I think this probably sets up and closes the door on the argument for the playoffs of, like, okay, could there be a rotation? Which goalie do you want to go with? I think Luukkonen was pulling ahead in that race to be the guy for the playoffs, but I think now with this Lyon injury, at least I think the first round is going to be Luukkonen, every game unless something weird happens or he gets hurt.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you. By the way, that's like 3 games in a row. I think you could say this about last night's third period, that these are the mature playoff type wins where, okay, I'm ahead in the third. I mean, the Rangers, it took a few minutes before they got ahead, where they're just shutting other teams down, right? Like the Blue Jackets ended up with a lot of shots, and Ellis made 2 incredible saves in the third period, but otherwise it felt like defensively they were right there keeping them to the outside, like take your shots from the point, but otherwise we're not letting you into the middle.
That's right. And that's 3 games in a row now where they have not surrendered a goal in the third. They led Tampa 3-2 going into the third, and Quinn adds the empty. Then the Ranger game, they're down 3-2 going into the third, and they get Tuck and Zucker and Benson, and then, of course, last night they explode there in the third with 4 goals. So, they haven't surrendered a goal now for 60 straight minutes if you just count third period. So that's obviously a strong sign. When we had that little slip up with this team here, I guess you'd say, or maybe not their best, about a week and a half ago in that area there where they had 3 or 4 games where you were wondering, like, this isn't trending well. They didn't play third periods well. And now seemingly what had been kind of a money thing for them during that amazing 41-game stretch, like that mojo seems to be back now, how they're handling third periods.
Brian Koziol on the Western Hotline. Sabres are off now until Monday, so we get a Tampa-Boston game tomorrow afternoon. The Canadiens will be in action as well. I believe they play the Islanders next. No, Columbus. They play tomorrow night against Columbus, and they get the regulation win last night, which I heard you in postgame, Brian. Like, you had that game on, right? Like in the final minute?
Yeah, I had it on my computer up in the press box, and I mean, literally post games. I'm sure as you were listening, like post game starting. So I'm like, okay, I'm all in on my Sabre take and Ellis and the scene, and then I'm like, okay, there's 150 left in this Montreal game. I kind of want to, so I'm giving you like play by play of that game. And then when Tampa scored, I was like, oh my goodness, like come on, this is. The thought of the worst case scenario is maybe of like this is a 3-point game, and then I'm thinking like, okay, now who in overtime is the better team to win here? Meanwhile, I'm trying to talk about how great Colton Ellis was, and then literally within 30 seconds, then Montreal scored again, and then it seemingly worked out perfectly for the Sabres. Now they obviously can just go win-win, and the division's theirs, and it might not even have to be that. The nice thing is they'll know, because you mentioned that both Tampa and Montreal are going to play before Buffalo plays next. So now they'll be able to kind of see, like, truly going into these last 2 games, like, how many points do they need to clinch the division?
Right. We'll see what we get in the next couple of nights right on the out-of-town scoreboard. All right, let's get to the Masters. Round 1 at Augusta, tee to green tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. And round 1, often you'll get the no-name guy that we're learning about atop the leaderboard. Can he maintain it? And I feel like this leaderboard after the first round, like it's big names, right? Like there's really not that many big names other than I guess the top live guys that put themselves behind. Like you've got Rory having the day he did, and Schauffele is there, and Scheffler is there, and Fleetwood is still hanging around. Like I like the leaderboard a lot. So let's start with Rory though, Brian. Like any question about Is he motivated enough for this tournament? Like, immediately squashed. And isn't that a great sign for him? Because isn't the book on him in the last couple of years at these majors that he gets off to a slow start?
That's a great point. Yes, he's always buried himself early, and then he usually makes a run, and then we sit there on Sunday and say, oh, my goodness, had he just not been, 4 over on day one, he could have won this thing. Yeah, what a different start for him. His second best start ever at a Masters, his second best first round ever with that 67 yesterday. I liked what he said afterwards, his interview after the round with Scott Van Pelt on ESPN. He said that coming here for the past essentially decade, he said he's felt the weight of not winning the Masters, but also knowing that it tied to not having the Grand Slam, which he said was a career goal for him. He said it was like he had two things that were heavily weighing on him, and every year it seemingly got stronger and stronger. He said, look, it's the Masters. He's like, everybody's nervous to start the tournament. Everybody, goes up to the first tee with some jitters. But he said he settled into the round so quickly because he said, okay, I have like a different mentality now of coming here. Like I've won, I've gotten my career goal, the Grand Slam, and now kind of going forward here, like maybe I can play with confidence and with a little bit more ease. And he said, look, by the time I was walking down the second fairway, he's like, I'm fine. I'm settling in. He said he felt the best that he ever has been, like getting into a tournament. And the rest of the way, he had, one bogey on the third hole. But other than that, I mean, he was wonderful. 6 birdies. His iron control was so good. Some of the approaches, I thought, into some of the tougher greens were spot on. And then his putter was lights out. I mean, that's a deadly combination. You're going to win the Masters if your irons are locked in, hitting into the correct locations into these greens, and then you're making putts. And, that was on display yesterday. So a great start for him. If he's playing with confidence, I mean, look out. I mean, this obviously, there's a lot of nice names at the top, including Scheffler. But I mean, if Rory's locked in, I mean, this could be a tournament for him to win, and a rare back-to-back in Masters history now is in play.
Yeah, 5 under, 67. He tees off at 144 today, and he's tied atop the leaderboard with Sam Burns, who that's not out of nowhere, right? Like he's been a young guy knocking on the door for a couple of years now.
For sure. Yeah, I mean, and he's a guy maybe that just as of late hasn't maybe, or this year hasn't necessarily been guy at the top of leaderboards that maybe, you kind of forget about him. But talent-wise, like if you said, hey, give me a handful of guys that talent-wise are maybe due to win their first major, I think Burns would probably be in that list. So not surprising. He got off to a great start, eagling the second hole yesterday. I'm sure that kind of springboarded him through, and then played a flawless back nine, no bogeys at all. So, yeah, not a surprise. Burns is a guy that definitely has the talent, has won before. So, yeah, not a surprise that he's up there. The coverage he played so early yesterday, didn't get to see as much of terms of him on the golf course, but be looking forward to watching him a little bit more today.
Yeah, a couple shots down the leaderboard. There's a lot that we could really pick apart here at the top because there's a lot of familiar names, but Scheffler, he had an eagle on 2. He didn't really have a lot else happen, right? It was just a lot of pars. So he's right there, 2 under. It's through 1 round, but I don't know. There were some concerns about him not being peak form. Does anything change on that front after his first round?
I think it's probably the same. You're right. He got to that beautiful. His shot of the day was the shot into that 2. He hit this iron shot over 200 yards, and it just settled right in perfectly. And then he made the eagle putt. Yeah, I think he's probably thinking, okay, look at me. I'm sitting here tied for 6th, and maybe didn't have an A day. So for him to be right in there in contention, I think he's got to be feeling good about himself. And obviously, handling these situations, he's done this before. He's won the Masters multiple times. So, he's definitely a threat for sure.
Lowry, Schauffele right there as well. Who's more likely to hang around throughout the weekend of some past veteran winners that are in second? Jason Day or Patrick Reed?
Ooh, good question.
Both 3 under.
Yeah, I'll go Reed because of just his success at this event. He's been good. He really has. Even in, obviously he's not live anymore, but even the past handful of years when he's come over there and we have no idea maybe what he might do, he's been a factor. He's won here before. So I'll say Reed, but I mean, Day is clearly capable. He's won a major, steady player. Yeah. But I just think Reed at this course, he feels like he's so in a comfort zone here.
They're in a tie for I guess third at 3 under. With also Kurt Kitayama, who I saw had 6 pars yesterday somehow. That's it. Like, just it was all bogeys and birdies. Very wild round, it seemed.
Yeah, he had a double bogey on 12 on the par 3, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 birdies. Yeah, crazy round for him. That's a lot of up and down mood swings for sure.
9 through 15, he went birdie, birdie, bogey, double, birdie, bogey, birdie. Like just nothing but I guess no pars. Is what I mean for him. Brian? What happened with Bryson DeChambeau yesterday? Like 4 over. He was in contention for so long last year until the end. And this year, just there's the bunker stuff. He's being, I don't know, like he's snickering at a reporter after the round about his irons. I did not like him at all on this day.
Yeah, there was really no sign that he's locked in at all. I mean, his irons, I mentioned to you, yesterday how the reason he lost the event last year when he was in contention to win on the final day was that he just could not control his irons. And, I said, I think it's such an important key of that approach shot is the shot at the Masters that really sets you apart of, if you have a chance to win, you have to be so locked in of where to hit it on the green or where not to miss. And, he was all over. His play on 11, that's where he lost the tournament last year. He hit a shot into the water and, was confused about it. Now, this time he played it on 11. For those that know the hole, there's water on the left. It's the hardest hole, by the way, on the course, 11. Water on the left, a tough approach shot. Guys will bail out on the right side of the green, but there's also a bunker on the right, too. He ends up in there, and it's almost anti-Bryson. I mean, obviously, if you overhit this bunker shot, you could have a chance for it to roll into the water. But he hit 3 consecutive shots that looked as conservative as anything. And if there's one guy that I always feel like is playing aggressive every single shot, it's DeChambeau. And he hit the most 3 tentative shots out of the bunker that I've seen from him, like, ever. And couldn't get it out, and then barely got it out. And eventually then, took that triple bogey. And that really, really set him back. And then on 18, he hits an approach shot. And I know the mics picked it up where he's like, what is going on here? Like, he definitely is questioning himself for sure.
Yeah, the bunker shot's right. Like, is he doing that if he didn't hit it into that same water last year? Maybe he is. Maybe,
you're right. Maybe that's a past thought of, hey, I know all about that water here. I can't go anywhere near it. But it was very, very tentative and very unlike Bryson.
Right. Rahm, by the way, also, right? Like, tough day for him.
Yeah, his putting was terrible. So many times I was watching where his putt came up like 7, 8, 9 feet short. It just, what his confidence obviously has got to be way down. I don't know, like these. I know we've had this discussion before of like, okay, what do the live guys do when they come over to play a major? They've obviously had some success here too, but I mean, Rahm is a guy that he should be better. He really
some of
should
them,
be.
like DeChambeau has had success coming over from live into the majors. Koepka did a little bit as well, but I don't. Has it ever really been the case with Rahm? Like, when's the last time he really even was in contention? Like, I feel like since he went to live, he's never having good days.
I think you're right. He's definitely, to me, the most disappointing of live players that have not translated back during these majors. And I like watching Rahm, and there's people that could say that Rahm, he's so fiery and he's his attitude out there like that he's a guy maybe that is easy to root against too. But I mean, man, what a talent! He's a fireball to watch, but he has not been good in these majors for sure. You're right. I think Bryson probably has translated coming from live to majors the best out of anybody. We know Koepka obviously won at Oak Hill a couple of years ago in the PGA Championship, so he's figured it out. And now, I have to remind myself, Reed no longer live, Koepka no longer live.
Right.
So, I mean, it's really down to the two big ones of Rahm and DeChambeau. Dustin Johnson, to me, doesn't do anything anymore. We don't see anything from him. No. Cam Smith, remember when he left? I feel like you and I were debating, like, wow, what a huge popularity loss this is for, like, global golf with him and being an Australian. He was the best putter in the world. I sometimes even forget he's playing now. Like, I mean, this guy was on the verge of being, like, number one in the world.
He really might be the one that lost the most, like, stardom potential, right? Because Rahm was already a big name. So was DeChambeau.
Established, yeah.
And a lot of the other guys, like, were kind of legacy guys, right? Like Sergio and Ian Poulter and Mickelson, right? Like, they had done it for so long, whereas Smith was fresh on the scene and he's gone, like, immediately. Like, he didn't have enough time to really build up a profile, I think, for most golf fans.
Yeah,
So,
I think that's right. Yeah, he in terms of just like his brand, he definitely has probably lost the most going to Live.
Rom did, by the way, have an 8th and a 7th last year, so I don't remember those. He wasn't in contention for first, I guess, and then you have, before that, you have a 45th, a missed the cut, a 34th, a 14th, so he had 2 majors, I guess, where he performed well, but not otherwise.
Just don't remember him being like involved in the scene. You're right. Not 7th and 8th is good. Yeah, I mean, maybe I should take back a little that he hasn't been.
He might have come
really
from
good
behind
on
those though, like where he was, rallying in round 4, if I remember right.
Yeah.
Tee to Green tomorrow again. Where is it, Brian?
Tomorrow we're at Pendleton Creek Golf Club.
Creek, right.
Yep, and 2 hours, 7 to 9. We go double the time on Majors Week, so we're looking forward to having the extra hour tomorrow.
Awesome. Well, thanks for this, and we'll be listening tomorrow. Thanks.
Thanks, Joe.
Brian Koziol on the Wester Hotline against 7 o'clock tomorrow for Tee to Green. 803-0550 is the phone number. Quickly before we hit a break, George has been waiting on hold. The Sabres win last night, and good news on the out-of-town scoreboard, Montreal winning as well. And I had that game on in the background, threw it on the big TV after the Sabre game ended. Tampa scores immediately, and then the Canadiens take the lead back 30 seconds later with about a minute to go. 803-0550 if you want to get a thought in. What was your favorite moment from last night? And we talked a little bit about Colton Ellis, like long term. That might be the last time we see him this year, and me and Owen both feel like there's a really good case to be made that he should be in their plans for the long haul. Let us know what you think. We'll get Joe Yurden's thoughts on last night's game and the race as well when we come back at 8 o'clock. But when we come back after the break, the schedules of these teams that are competing with the Sabres and where we're at with the odds for their first-round matchup, those swung wildly last night for who they'll play. That when we return here on WGR.
He is so much fun to watch because of stuff like that. It almost reminds me a little bit. Datsuk used to do that all the time, where he would track back on guys and pick the pocket and just turn it right up the ice.
Yeah.
And that plays so well into what the Sabres do. They're so quick to transition. And when you've got guys that can make transitions happen in different ways, whether it be retrievals on D and you get quick ups by having great breakout passes. That's one way to transition quickly. Or you get track back, forced turnovers that you can turn on a dime and get up ice, like Doan had last night. And it makes you dangerous no matter what is happening, no matter what the opposing team is trying to do to you. Because whether you're trying to carry the puck around and transport it on your stick, you've got guys like Doan, Norris does it, Benson does it, that will track you down and steal it off you and turn it right around and go. Mm-hmm. Or if you're going to try and dump it in on them, guess what? We've got D that are going to go back there, take that puck, make a guy miss, and break the puck out in one fell swoop. And then you're going.
Yeah.
And that is why they play so fast so often. There's no one way to counterpunch them. You can't go, all right, well, they're retrieving pucks so well, we got to try and enter with control and do that. But no, you can't. They're too long on the blue line. They got too much length there. They're too good as skaters, and their forwards will track back too well.
Right.
And you get stuck in this loop as an opposing team against them, I think, where you don't know what to do. How are we getting away from these guys? They won't get off of us. We can't do anything. And that is why I think you see these third periods especially that become so just muddied up for these other teams. And it's really, really fun to watch, and I just think they've got players that accentuate the things that they coach into them, and it's really impressive. As a full organization, it feels like they have the kind of harmony that you talk about, that we hear the Bills talk about, right? Like, I think Yarmo's bringing in guys, Kevin Adams brought in guys that can do the things that Lindy Ruff and Seth Appert want to do, and those players are willing to execute. And that's why you've got 106 points. Like that's it.
106 points. By the way, that's like 3 games in a row. I think you could say this about last night's third period, that these are the mature playoff-type wins where, okay, I'm ahead in the third. I mean, the Rangers, it took a few minutes before they got ahead, where they're just shutting other teams down, right? Like the Blue Jackets ended up with a lot of shots, but And Ellis made, 2 incredible saves in the third period, but otherwise it felt like defensively they were right there keeping them to the outside, like take your shots from the point, but otherwise we're not letting you into the middle.
That's right, and that's 3 games in a row now where they have not surrendered a goal in the third. They led Tampa 3-2 going into the third, and Quinn adds the empty. Then the Ranger game, they're down 3-2 going into the third, and they get Tuck and Zucker and Benson, and then of course last night they explode there in the third with 4 goals. So they haven't surrendered a goal now for 60 straight minutes if you just count third period. So that's obviously a strong sign. When we had that little slip up with this team here, I guess you'd say, or maybe not their best, about a week and a half ago in that area there where they had 3 or 4 games where you were wondering like, this isn't trending well. They didn't play third periods well, and now seemingly what had been kind of a money thing for them during that amazing 41 game stretch, like that mojo seems to be back now, how they're handling third periods.
Alex Tuck with 8 seconds puts it in the corner. 5 seconds to go. Welcome to Ellis Island in downtown Buffalo, New York. It's his first career shutout. 5-0 the final.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton. Chaos. Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Stone scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored the other 3. They're back in action on Monday in Chicago, taking on the Blackhawks. Puck drop set for 8:30. In the Masters, Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy currently are tied at first, 5 under par. Tee time is going to be getting underway pretty soon here, later this morning. Around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. ESPN's Jordan Reed said the Jets are reported to be extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr., and Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's offseason program, putting him on track to lose a $1 million workout bonus. In baseball, the Blue Jays play the Twins at 7:07. The Yankees lost 1-0 to the A's. They play the Rays tonight at 7:10. The Mets lost 7-1 to Arizona. They play the A's at 7:10. And the Red Sox play the Cardinals at 8:15. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
There's a chance cutting towards the net. Oh, what a stop by Ellis. He's lost his stick again, but he's got all of his marbles because he stopped another one, his 31st save of the night.
It's one of the first moments of the game. For all the moments in your life, go forth to Firth. Sabres win 5-0 over the Blue Jackets. It was 1-0 for a while. Krebs scores in the first, and then nothing for a good long while. You had a good goalie battle going for a while between Greaves and Ellis, but Ellis pulls away at the end and is the game's number 1 star. The Masters gets rolling in a couple of minutes here. They just showed the video of the patrons rushing out on the course, heading to different holes. By the way, we didn't get this with Brian, but Colin Morikawa had a great interview yesterday. He went 2 over about this back injury he's been dealing with and how he just is fighting, even though he's not injured right now, every shot, the nerves of, I'm going to swing this club and is my back going to be thrown out and I have to withdraw from the Masters. Like, mentally, the guy's going through it and battled to have a decent day, not a great day yesterday. So the Masters gets rolling in a couple of minutes here. Want to get to the scheduling of all of these teams around the Sabres in the next couple of days. Nobody plays tonight. But that game between the Canadiens and the Lightning was a great watch. There were fights all over the place. The Lightning, we talked a little bit about this earlier, were just losing their minds. I think it's more they can't take the fact that there are two teams fresh on the scene that are not intimidated by them and do not get pushed around by them. The Sabres proved that to them, and Montreal has now proved that to them. And they beat them a couple weeks ago. They beat them last night. They stood up to them physically. They're in the same tier, and I feel like the Lightning just can't handle it. So there's Corey Perry going after Lane Hudson, star player from the Canadiens, small defenseman. Perry, fourth line, 40-year-old. Okay, fine. Ref trying to get between them. You've got multiple Lightning players going after skilled Montreal players after a whistle. They make contact with the goalie. Point runs into him. And then all of that broke down. And Montreal did a good job of not backing down to any of it. Josh Anderson got challenged, by the way, in that game by which Lightning player was it? I don't remember. He was a depth player.
Could have been Jeannot.
No, it wasn't Jeannot. It was a defenseman. I don't remember who, but Anderson.
Yeah, they've got 8 new guys playing for him. So.
Anderson got challenged by him, and then just worked him in the fight after that.
Anderson's a big, tough boy. That guy's scary in a playoff series.
That series would be awesome to watch from afar.
Yeah.
I'm for the Sabres competitively, I'm hoping they win the division. From an entertainment standpoint, we talked about how fun like Montreal-Buffalo would look. Tampa-Montreal would look awesome.
Yeah, it'd be really fun to watch those two teams, bend each other over. Like, because they would just, it would be back and forth, just, snapping your neck around trying to follow the play. Like, it would be insane watching those two teams play.
So, after last night's win, you got about, I think, roughly a 12% bump in the Sabres division odds at Money Puck because Montreal beat Tampa in regulation. That was the best possible outcome. So now, just looking at Money Puck, and there are other sites too, but Money Puck has the Sabres at 73.7% to win the division. Because they get the win in regulation against Columbus, Montreal gets the win as well. Mm-hmm. Tampa is in action tomorrow at 12:30. And that game is critical for 2 reasons. One, if Tampa loses in regulation, then all the Sabres need is 1 point to ensure they'll at least finish above the Lightning. That's if the Lightning were to lose tomorrow to Boston.
Right.
So, and they're 4 points back, 3 games to play. They're not dead yet. So Boston is the team you're rooting for. The other reason you're rooting for Boston is because Ottawa now are only 2 points back with their win from the Bruins. And I'll speak for myself. I think I speak for many that would prefer to play the Bruins in round 1 over the Senators.
Yeah.
No doubt. It's only a 2-point lead now. Bruins over Ottawa. So I'm rooting for Boston for 2 reasons tomorrow at 12:30. A lot of other games we'll go through schedule-wise in a moment. Let's go to Chris, though, in Kenmore. What was your favorite moment of the game? If you were there, give us a call. Chris, go ahead. You're on the air.
How you doing, boys? So I was at the game last night. My wife and daughter and I. It was my daughter's first game. The last game I had been to was when Line got laid out at center ice. And it was really, really awesome to see that arena packed last night.
The line when Line A was on Winnipeg?
Yeah.
So Jake McCabe. I remember that. That's years ago. That's 8 years ago, maybe.
So I had taken my dad. My dad was in town from Kentucky, and I had taken him to the game, and that was such an honor to be able to take him. And so it's nice to see that the Sabres are finally relevant again, and it's amazing to watch. But with my dad, it's kind of it's a love-hate because we lost him in February, and when I was in boot camp, he would send me news clippings of what it was like here during 05, 06, 06, 07 when I was deployed. And I want to share this stuff with him. Unfortunately, I can't. But it's amazing to see that arena packed and as loud as it was last night. But I have a simple question. Is the atmosphere in the city today, is that what it was like during 05, 06, 06, 07? Because I was, like I said, I was in boot camp and then I was deployed, so I missed it all. And I just want to hear what you guys had to think of that. And appreciate you guys. And you have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you, Chris, for calling. Thank you for your service. Absolutely. Like, I was a kid, so I don't remember every element of it. I wasn't going out to bars at that point. I was 05, 06, I'm 11. But I'm with it enough to know that this place was buzzing on another level. And when it goes on for months into the summer, on a playoff run into the conference finals, it just, again, being 11, it's tough to remember every part of it. You want to have it happen again so that you can, you get this and that. And that wasn't, the whole scope of it wasn't there for me yet. So, yeah, I'll say yes and trust that, it was like this, but even probably further along. Of course. Yeah, a lot of fans are coming back to the building. And it's a story in the city right now, and if you weren't plugged into the team for a few years because it had been 10, 11, 12, 13 years since they had made the playoffs, I don't think that's offensive. And, okay, they're good. I'm back. That's pretty much to say, I think, you let everybody back on the bandwagon and don't even think about it. So, yeah, glad you were able to get that game, though, Chris. Thanks for the call. 803-0550 is the phone number. So, a couple other schedule things that I want to get to here. We mentioned Lightning and Bruins tomorrow at 12:30. All the games that have rooting interest. So, Boston, on them, you want to play Boston. Ottawa is a possession team. They have incredible advanced numbers. You just saw them last week against the Sabres. They can really shut a game down. And if they get saves from Linus Ullmark, which they're starting to get again, then they're as good as it gets. And I'm not exaggerating that. You might be offended by this. In fact, I think some Sabre fans probably would be and even have a right to be. But if you go probably anywhere, but just picking one, FanDuel Sportsbook this morning, and you go over to NHL and you hit Stanley Cup odds. Today, in the Eastern Conference, Tampa's got the best Stanley Cup odds. Carolina has the next best. That's not surprising. That's kind of how it's been all year. The next best, the third best Stanley Cup odds in the Eastern Conference, it's not the Sabres. It's Ottawa. Plus 1,600 for Ottawa, plus 2,000 for the Sabres. Again, you might feel like, okay, that extreme. That's too much. Part of that might also be if they're wild card 2, they get the easier side of the bracket. But that speaks to more, I think they're a good team. They're a quality team. Boston, they're kind of the opposite. Their advanced numbers stink. Goalie's great. Couple of good scorers that really lift up their shooting percentage. That helps a lot. And I don't think they're a bad team. They're just a different type of team. They're physical and they play the boards well. I just feel like the Bruins are an easier opponent. And I don't even really think it's that close. So I think you should want Boston. They play Tampa tomorrow at 12:30. At Columbus on Sunday. So back-to-back days. But the Blue Jackets, after last night, you said it earlier, like they're out of gas.
Yeah, they
got nothing left.
They couldn't. They went on the run when they fired Dean Evison and brought in Bonus, and it feels like they kind of used up the tank. And there was some stuff last week with Bonus talking about how selfish they are, and it just feels like it got too. They just ran out of runway.
Yeah,
and they just couldn't. You can only run like that for so long. We saw it with the Sabres where they had a speed bump, And I think they pulled out of it, and I don't think Columbus has the talent to pull out of it the way that the Sabres do. So I think that's just the spot they're in. There's only so much that the new coach bounce is going to give them.
So they have that game, and then they have New Jersey in the final game of the year, Boston. And 2 points up, 3 games to go. They need, what is that, 4? I guess they need 5 to clinch, but that's if Ottawa were to win all their games. So a 2-point lead. They play a New Jersey team playing for nothing, a Tampa team that's probably not happy.
No.
They might come out firing tomorrow.
Certainly not happy.
So root for the Bruins down the stretch here.
Yep.
As tough as that might be.
I know.
Boston.
It feels gross, but that's all right. We've been doing stuff like that all year.
We want Boston in the first round. 803-0550 is the phone number. Pick of the week when we come back. And then Joe Yerdon at 8. More on last night's win and this race down the stretch. It's Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is, I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's
100%.
a veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here. And doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed. Because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but he
Right.
didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround, where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got 2 modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it, we've got possession, I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's just a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yep.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yep. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy. By the way, that's like 3 games in a row. I think you could say this about last night's third period, that these are the mature playoff type wins where, okay, I'm ahead. in the third. I mean, the Rangers, it took a few minutes before they got ahead, where they're just shutting other teams down, right? Like, the Blue Jackets ended up with a lot of shots, and Ellis made, 2 incredible saves in the third period, but otherwise it felt like defensively they were right there keeping them to the outside, like take your shots from the point, but otherwise we're not letting you into the middle.
That's right, and that's 3 games in a row now where they have not surrendered a goal in the third. They led Tampa 3-2 going into the third, and Quinn adds the empty. Then the Ranger game, they're down 3-2 going into the third, and they get Tuck and Zucker and Benson, and then of course last night they explode there in the third with 4 goals. So they haven't surrendered a goal now for 60 straight minutes if you just count third period. So that's obviously a strong sign.
Portions of WGR
when we had that little
programming
slip up with this team here, I guess you'd say, or
Fight
maybe
for Air
not their
Climb
best.
on May 9th at Salem Field.
About
500
a week
steps,
and a half
1
ago
mission,
in that area
0
there where they had
excuses.
3 or 4 games
Fight
where
for
you
Air
were
Climb
wondering,
Buffalo at
this isn't
Salem
trending
Field
well.
steps off
They
on
didn't
May
play
9th.
third periods well.
Be the
And now,
athlete your fitness tracker
seemingly,
wants you to be.
what had
Register
been
at
kind of a money thing for them during
That's
that amazing
climbbuffalo.org.
41-game stretch, like that mojo seems to be back now, how they're handling third periods.
Time for this week's Riverfront Auto Sales Pick of the Week. This is a good one. True piece of American history, a 1961 Corvette convertible. Iconic styling, roaring V8, that open top driving experience you can't replicate. This classic delivers pure excitement every time you hit the road. Stop by Riverfront Auto Sales today and see this beautiful, looking at the pictures now, 1961 Corvette convertible for yourself before it's gone. 1379 Niagara Street, online at riverfrontautosales.com, or you can call them at 716-886-1626. I'm going to make the pick of the week a 2-parter. It's going to be tomorrow, the 2 big games for the division, and what that can mean for the Sabres, by the way, on Monday. So tomorrow, 12:30, Boston and Tampa. Go Boston. That's on ABC. Tomorrow night at 7, Montreal hosting Columbus. Blue Jackets have a lot of games that matter to these other teams down the stretch here. If you got a perfect outcome tomorrow and you're watching that game in the afternoon and Boston wins, and then you're watching that game at night against Montreal and Columbus and Montreal loses, you get those 2 results. I believe that I've got it right, that the Sabres would win the division with a win against Chicago on Monday. You'd be 2 points up with the same amount of games played on the Canadiens, but you have the tiebreaker. They've got to be 3 points better than you. Tampa would be 4 points back with 2 games to play. So any point, you'd clinch over them. And if you can get to 4 points up on Montreal with 2 games left for even them, it's over. So depending on how tomorrow goes, Monday could be for the division. But I don't know how likely you might think it is right now that you get both Columbus to beat Montreal in regulation, Boston to beat Tampa in regulation. But that's what you're looking for tomorrow. And P.S. the Masters, of course, too. Round 2 of the Masters today and round 3 tomorrow. And obviously through the weekend. That's your pick of the week. When we come back, Joe Yerdon from the Sabres against the Blue Jackets to the out-of-town stuff to what's coming in the next couple of games. And Colton Ellis. When we come back here on Jeremy and Joe, this is WGR. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is. I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's 100%. A veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here, and doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed, because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but
Right.
he didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround, where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it. We've got possession. I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour, and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it, because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yep.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yeah. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy. By the way, that's like 3 games in a row. I think you could say this about last night's third period, that these are the mature playoff-type wins where, okay, I'm ahead in the third. I mean, the Rangers, it took a few minutes before they got ahead, where they're just shutting other teams down, right? Like, the Blue Jackets ended up with a lot of shots, and Ellis made, 2 incredible saves in the third period, but otherwise it felt like defensively they were right there, keeping them to the outside, like, take your shots from the point, but otherwise we're not letting you into the middle.
That's right, and that's 3 games in a row now where they have not surrendered a goal in the third. They led Tampa 3-2 going into the third, and Quinn adds the empty. Then the Ranger game, they're down 3-2 going into the third, and they get Tuck and Zucker and Benson, and then, of course, last night they explode there in the third with 4 goals. So, they haven't surrendered a goal now for 60 straight minutes if you just count third period. So that's obviously a strong sign. When we had that little slip up with this team here, I guess you'd say, or maybe not their best, about a week and a half ago in that area there, where they had 3 or 4 games where you were wondering, like, this isn't trending well. They didn't play third periods well. And now seemingly what had been kind of a money thing for them during that amazing 41-game stretch, like that mojo seems to be back now, how they're handling third periods.
Alex Tuck with 8 seconds puts it in the corner. 5 seconds to go. Welcome to Ellis Island in downtown Buffalo, New York. It's his first career shutout. 5-0 the final.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton
Chaos.
Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Stone scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored the other 3. They're back in action on Monday in Chicago, taking on the Blackhawks with puck drop set for 8:30 as the regular season coming to a close here shortly. In the Masters, Sam Burns, Roy McIlroy currently tied for first, 5 under parts, getting underway rather soon here. Around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. ESPN's Jordan Reed said the Jets are reported to be extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's offseason program, putting him on track to lose $1 million in workout bonuses. In baseball, Blue Jays play the Twins at 7:07. The Yankees lost 1-0 to the A's. They play the Rays tonight at 7:10. And the Mets lost 7-1 to Arizona. They play the A's at 7:10. And the Red Sox play the Cardinals at 8:15. Join Chopin Bulldog for the annual pre-draft special Thursday, April 16th from 4 to 6:30, streaming live on YouTube. Get the latest on who is being mocked where, hear the insiders, and guest appearances from Jeremy White, Joe DiBiase, Nate Geary, and Sal Capaccio. Brought to you by your Upstate Honda dealers. For great deals, visit your local Upstate Honda dealer today. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
Not familiar. It's a certain national beer company that just pulled me aside at a game a month ago. Rapid fire question. What's the worst logo in hockey? And you got to come up with an answer right away. And you could tell I wasn't really sure of my answer, but Blue Jackets? How bad an answer is that? I thought it ended up being fine.
I think that's a fine answer.
Their logo is a star with the Ohio State flag coming across it.
Miss me with that. I nothing to do with it. It should be a cannon. Should have just embrace it.
They have the cannon.
I like the cannon logo, but that's not the logo that comes to mind because they don't. Do they even still use it? They had a third jersey with it.
I don't think they do. I haven't seen the cannon jersey. They just fire that thing off very frequently.
It's the worst.
Joe Yurden now on the Western Hotline. Joe, is Columbus the worst logo in hockey?
It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. You know what, Joe? You have a lot of hot takes. That's not one.
All right, good. All right, I feel better.
Not one at all. No.
Joe Yurden on the Western Hotline from notedhockey.com. You can check out all his stuff there. Be sure to get it from yesterday. He's got some on the Blue Jackets game, of course. So get into a lot from last night and the season, the race that's going on right now, but. This is fun, Joe. Like, were you covering the team during the last playoff run, right? Or was it just after that?
I was covering them from afar.
Okay.
Because I was with NBC at that time. So I was not yet in Buffalo. Okay. That's how long ago we're talking there. So yeah.
So you haven't really experienced the city like this with at least a playoff race. I mean, let alone a playoff run.
Oh no! This is which is crazy to say that I've been here since 2013-14 that season, and so this is a first for me because I don't even count that season a couple years ago where they just missed out by a couple points to the Panthers because they were so roller coaster that year. They weren't really in a playoff race, and then it was like, oh God, they're in the playoff race. It's like, no, they're not. And then oh God, they are. And then then it was, oh, they're out. So that's that.
Yeah, the atmosphere. I mean, we've talked a lot about like last night. So many little things that people are mentioning from the game, favorite moments. I mean, the crowd is into it. Really, though, that took off in the third, right? Like, it was kind of a lull, I think. Like, and that was a credit to the Sabres, right? Like, they've been able to shut teams down these last 3 games in the third period. There wasn't really a ton happening at the beginning of that third, even the second before it, until Doan just like, oh, he's got the puck and now it's in the back of the net. Like, it really happened. It happened very quickly there in the third that the building was buzzing.
Yeah, and, it kind of snowballed from there after, Doan picks, I think it was Charlie Coyle's pocket, and then just absolutely just rips one right by Graves for the 2-0 lead. But I thought it was still a fun game. Like, that was, I think it was, through 2, it's 1-0. That second period had some pretty good pace to it. And, Ellis had to make some spectacular plays and saves there to keep it 1-0 in the second. Certainly stood on his head in the third when Columbus was trying to push back into it. But yeah, Doan gets everybody going and partying by making it 2-0. And then, from there, it's Columbus has to try to open it up a little more to get back into it. And that just played right into the Sabres' hands to blow it open.
Yeah. How impressive to you is what Colton Ellis did last night? The shutout, a good amount of saves, big saves, and just not having started in that long. Just how impressive was what he did to you?
That's kind of crazy, honestly. We're talking about a guy who hadn't started since February 3rd, so he's been kind of on the shelf for 2 months, and that's not, it's not anything of, his fault. The way the rotation went and the way the schedule went made it so that they found a nice rhythm with Lyon and Luukkonen to have them just go back and forth, or if any of those guys had to play 2 in a row, then they did. But it just worked out that way. And then we don't see him again until the Washington game, which took the team coming out completely flat and getting Lyon chased after about 10 minutes there in that game. And he comes in and he just, you're just kind of wearing it from that point. I mean, Buffalo kind of made it a little bit of a game after that, but, it became not a game pretty quickly after that too. But, you couldn't fault Ellis for too much in that one, because it's like, again, hasn't seen any game action in 2 months. So you're like, okay, whatever. But, fate is funny, man. Yeah. And the way things break down, and Lions probably not going to see him until maybe the start of the playoffs. If not, then who knows? But he comes out and just plays an absolute banger of a game, and people will be like, Columbus, whatever. No, man, desperate team looking to make the playoffs, still fighting. They still played a pretty tough game. It's not exactly like they rolled over and Ellis had to stand on his head to make it count. So that's a really impressive game, and it really calms the waters, because you could understand if people were maybe getting like, Lions out, there goes the safety net, there, the 2-goalie blanket is good, and people aren't buying into Luukkonen yet, which I'm sure there's still some people out there that are that way, but you're thinking playoffs, this is where trouble starts, and Ellis just completely puts that to bed with the way he played last night. That was spectacular.
Definitely. What do you think of his place in the organization right now? Like, there's a real possibility that's the last time we see him this year. He's at a good age. He was the top goalie prospect in St. Louis, and I mean, the year wasn't going bad for him before last night, and you include that game in his numbers and his season, and it ends up looking like a good rookie season for a goalie that had some hype coming into the league.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, his season's been pretty genuinely nuts. He gets plucked off waivers, and the way that situation worked, at least as far as the Sabres went, was he was going to stay no matter what, because they knew the second they put him back on waivers, he was going right back to St. Louis, or to somebody else that was going to grab him on waivers. And that was really tough. That kind of puts your own self in a corner, roster-wise, because it's like, well, we got to hang on to him. All right, how do we make this work? And for a long time, for the first few months of the season, it really didn't work. And Lindy was not happy about it. And, it's because he did the 3-goalie thing last year. That didn't work at all very well. The organization had done it for a few years and made nobody happy. And, this time around, it works out well enough because the schedule was so goofy and because Ellis was just like, a really solid soldier there. And, Lindy kind of put his foot down with a lot of that stuff and just made it work. And, for Ellis to kind of ride it and, they rode him pretty well early on in the season where, he was playing played a lot of games and, guys were getting, the other guys were getting banged up here or there and took care of business and he did his job. And that's, it's a tough spot for a guy who's, new in the league and, still figuring out his own game to be kind of thrust into that. And he played really well. If we don't see him again the rest of the season, what a way to go out. That's a spectacular game to go out on. But, as far as like the future with him, I guess we'll find out. If he was a guy that Yarmo was like, hey, let's grab him off waivers, before he's even the GM, then, that's cool. But it's a lot of decisions that still got to get made here as far as that goes. Because, Lyon and Lucan are both signed again through next season. Maybe you make another move there to just kind of loosen things up and make it a more normal 2-goalie thing. But those are off-season questions, and right now, fortunately for the Sabres, the off-season is not happening after the Dallas game's over with.
Right. Hopefully we have a couple more months before we can really start getting into that kind of stuff. Also last night, there were so many moments you go through, so many players that had great plays. The Doan goal, which we talked about earlier, his season too, Joe, like 25 goals now he's up to, and over 50 points. When he was the throw-in to the deal, I think Kevin Adams wanted him. That was broke down in the embedded piece that the Sabres released. Like, they really did want him in the trade. But, I don't know. Me and Owen talked about this earlier. I did not think there was much of an offensive upside for him when he got here. Owen did. Where were you on that? Like, did you feel like this was one of the possible outcomes, even if you didn't think it was likely that there was a guy in there that could score 20 to 25 goals a year?
I think when you looked at what his game was and you saw some of the highlights in with Utah and even a little bit earlier with Arizona, granted he didn't play a lot that last year in Arizona, but you look at the way he played, you're saying like, okay, there's a player there. Like you knew there's a player there. And the only question was, how much production are you going to be able to get out of him and, what can he do? Because, you saw the forecheck and how good he was at it. He played physical. That's good. And, having that dad's legacy is a tough thing because that sets the bar really high for a guy like him because Shane was such a dynamite player for so long in the league. And you're thinking like, well, if he can be a shadow of his dad, if he can just be a little bit like his dad, that's an awesome player to have in a depth role or what have you. I think if you were setting the bar for what you want to get out of him, I think at the highest end of expectations, you're seeing that right now. But maybe this is what he's going to be. Maybe this is exactly the player he's going to be for his career. If not, maybe more. There's not a lot to really base everything on. I think that's the kind of fun part here. You have 14 goals last season and, that was like 51 games or so, I think.
Yep.
And that's a really solid season on a team that, didn't make the playoffs. And you're like, okay, well, let's see what we got here. But pop it off with 25 this year and, we'll see what he ends up with after he plays maybe the last one or two games. It's a great season. It is a great season for him. They've got him locked in now at a really nice rate, especially if he's going to produce like this.
You know what? I just looked up. You mentioned how there's no real basis for it. This is almost eerie. This might get people excited for expectations too much, but Josh Doan versus his dad, Joe, at the same ages, it's like a mirror of each other. Like at age 21, both guys played part-time that year. 9 points for Josh 11 points for Shane. At age 22, full seasons, 22 points for Shane, 19 points for Josh. Age 23, full year, 51 points for Shane, 51 points for Josh. Like, it's the same thing. I'm not saying he's going to be Shane Doan for 25 years now, but maybe.
Who knows? That's the thing. We don't know, but now that we're getting a little taste of what he's capable of here. And if this, like I said, if this is what what his ceiling is, like this is what as good as he's going to be for the next 10, 15 years, whatever it is. What a great player. I mean, a 25 goal a year guy. Heck yeah, sign everybody up for that one. No matter what, 25 goals, 50 points every season. Yes, that is a yes every time to pull. But yeah, that the comps with his dad and that they're spot on like that are unbelievable.
Yeah.
That is incredible stuff.
Joe Yerdon with us on the Western Hotline from notedhockey.com. It's where you can check out all his stuff. So the division a lot more likely after last night. The Montreal regulation win over Tampa helps as well. Where have you been on like kind of the value of that? Do you feel like there is a real prize to getting that top spot in the Atlantic Division and not having to play Montreal or Tampa in round one?
Yeah, I think there's an absolute value right there. Montreal's playing bang on hockey right now. They're playing really well. I don't know that you want to deal with that in the first round with the speed and then the Montreal atmosphere. We're talking about how great the atmosphere is in Buffalo right now and what it's going to be for the playoffs. Montreal is on another plane of existence when it comes to that stuff. Regular season games there are bonkers. Playoffs there is a whole other world, man. And like that's an intimidating place to play. So if you can avoid dealing with them, and obviously the Lightning, veteran team, we know what they're capable of. We know what they can do, and if Victor Hedman comes back for playoffs, if he's good to go, and everybody else is there with the way that they play, and they've been there before. And I know Cooper talked a lot both times he was here about how we're not really the team to gun for. We lost in the first round the last few years, blah, 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 blah. Whatever. It's like, brother, we watched you win 2 Stanley Cups. We know how good you are. You've always got a bullseye on your back from that. So I don't want to deal with either of those teams because they're 2 of the best teams in the Eastern Conference in the first round. No thanks. No thanks. And if you're dealing with an Ottawa or a Buffalo or I don't even know who else you can really mess with in the first round. I think those are the other 2 teams they might be able to get if they win the division. I'd almost rather deal with that, even though those matchups right now aren't very happy either. But but if it's Montreal or Tampa, you gotta face in the first round point. You're in for a fight, instantaneous. Like a knockdown drag out fight, not just like the regular playoff fight.
Yeah, I really want Boston. Like, I know the Sabres haven't looked perfect against them this year, and that they've had a nice season, a really nice season, but I don't know, just the depth of that team all the way through the forward group, the blue line too. Like, Swayman has been such an integral piece, but I guess it's kind of the Ottawa-Boston debate as well, which is, do you want the really loaded team that plays great, but you have no idea if they're going to get saves? That's Ottawa, or do you want the team that is not as talented up front, but they've been getting saves all year?
Yeah, and the thing with Boston is, I mean, we've gotten to see the best of Swayman this year, and that's a great goalie in the playoffs is terrifying, flat out terrifying to deal with. If there's an upside to facing Montreal, and yes, they're playing great hockey right now, the goaltending is their weakest part. And the fact that we don't know what they would be able to do in a 5-on-5 OT, I think that's maybe something where you're like, well, maybe, because they're so good in 3-on-3 in OT. You have Caulfield out there. I mean, he's going to win you games no matter what. But the goaltending there, I mean, they're playing good now. They're playing very good now. Maybe that's a foreboding sign for the future. But Swayman is a known factor, and you're like, oh boy, that guy's scary. Same thing for Linus Ullmark, who, I get it. It's been a little bonkers in Ottawa, but he's a number one. He's a number one guy, and they just lost to him a week ago in a game that they didn't look very – they got outcompeted brutally up in Ottawa. You kind of – different scale of how things work because Buffalo's got to be as desperate as locked in that game, not as much as Ottawa was because Ottawa, was trying to push to get in, but and Vasilevsky, no thanks, man. Vasi's one of the best goalies in the league. You don't want to deal with that coming out of the gates in the playoffs. So, from that end of it, I mean, maybe you prefer Ottawa, but
yeah,
geez, it's no matter what, you're choosing frying pan or fire or or both of them at the same time. It's not fun.
Yeah. You mentioned Montreal 3-on-3, by the way. They have 10 3-on-3 wins this year, which is only fewer than Minnesota. So they have a lot of those. What else on the roster as we head in here to the playoffs? Only 2 games left. Is there anybody that you're wanting to see more from, even though it's only 2 games here, that has been struggling, or even that you're just concerned about what they'll look like when the playoffs start?
It's kind of fun to be able to nitpick a little bit lower down the roster, honestly, like to for little matchups, little things here and there. I think obviously everybody, the fans are very deep. Everybody are wondering how the third pairing is going to work. Logan Stanley seems like an automatic choice for me just because, he's a lefty shot, he's big, he's, the bruiser, whatever. And then I think whoever the matchup guy is to pair with him, I think that's going to be really interesting to watch. Obviously Metsa's got the fans vote, so there's that, but those two just seem to work, and so that's an interesting dynamic. But I think it's been good to see McLeod and Norris getting more active, getting more points, more touches here lately, because I've needed to see a little bit more of a boost from them, a little bit lower, just to kind of take some of that pressure off of Tage to have to go out there and score, every game and be part of the offense every game. And you need him, obviously, but if you got McLeod and you've got Norris, those guys jumping in and producing as well, that takes a lot of that pressure off and maybe helps you out matchup wise down the road. But those are like almost like tweak things. Those are, everybody's been playing very well. It's not like anybody's kind of dragging right now. I mean, McLeod got the monkey off his back getting that goal. I think Norris has played excellent hockey. Just the goals and the points haven't really been there, but you'd like to see a little bit more of that, maybe pop one against Chicago or maybe get one against Dallas if everybody's playing in that game. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's about where I want to see things shake out.
Yeah, that stuff can also play itself out, like as a series is going on, especially if you win a series. I remember in 2006, Vanek was a rookie, and he had been good that year, but it wasn't like Calder Trophy good. And it was by, I think, the middle of round 1. I'll have to look. It was at least by round 2 where it was, okay, he's just not, they're deep at forward, he's a rookie, he's not in the rotation. And eventually he got phased out. And that could be, right, that could be Metsa, right? Like, Metsa's played so well, and all right, you played well enough, you're going to get game 1, and then you play game 2, and it's, okay, he didn't really do that well, we'll put another guy in, and if the other guy does fine, you might not see Metsa again. So. Right.
Yeah, and, that I think that's, like what we saw Shen come in against Tampa, and he looked great. He was a boss. He was an absolute boss that game. But like a matchup against maybe a heavier, a little bit slower team. Maybe that's the kind of thing that you see happen, because it's like, okay, a team that's less likely to be able to zip by and cause speed issues against that pairing. That's a nice switch to be able to make. Whereas Metsa just plays a calm, quiet, steady game, and that's almost the thing you prefer out of your third pair, because you don't want to see just obvious mistakes or obvious things pop up and have issues. And I think the biggest thing working against Stanley is that he's had like, how was he played with like every single other defenseman on the roster, so it's tough to get that chemistry down. I think the guy he's got the most chemistry with right now is Metsa, so maybe that's how you keep things a lot steadier there. I thought Stanley played a really nice game last night, and go figure. It's with the guy that he's played the most with.
Right. Lindy called it his best game as a Sabre. I would agree with him. He was out of his own end. He was good. He made that pass to Quinn. Yeah, he was solid. Joe Yurden with us, notedhockey.com, Bleacher Report as well. Thanks, Joe, for the time, and maybe next time we're talking, it's playoffs. I mean, we're not far away. So,
yeah, it's only a week away now, man. This is crazy.
Thanks, Joe.
You got it, Joe. Thanks.
Joe Yurden on the West Her Hotline. Yeah, so Wednesday, first playoff game, Wednesday final regular season game. Friday's the first playoff games? Not Saturday?
I think that's right.
I thought I saw the 17th. I guess I have never put together, though. I've had the 17th in my mind. I thought I saw that somewhere a while ago.
Let me see.
If it's the 17th and your last game's on Wednesday, is it that quick a turnaround? 2 days?
I've got Saturday the 18th as the first
That's
day.
the first day. Okay, so 3 days.
So 3 days. That sounds right.
Little better.
That sounds right.
So a week from tomorrow could be the first playoff game.
Right. You see there's a Sunday at 1
that's
p.m.
close.
slot.
That,
I mean,
is that the dream?
Come on.
Sunday at 1.
Sunday
That
at
would
1
be
o'clock.
Yeah,
the most
Sunday, 1
ideal
o'clock.
scenario. Yeah.
Would be
that-
awesome.
Could you imagine
Yeah.
getting Sabres hockey Sunday 1 p.m.?
Yeah.
It's nice out. It's going to be nice Saturday or Sunday. Hopefully, I would imagine.
Will
The
that
weather's
be
turning?
Will that be good for the outside TVs at the Canal Side watch party? If there's a big glare, I'm not sure.
It's a good question.
They probably have TVs at this point that
They are
they
able
have ready
to
to
somehow
go.
combat that.
Next Sunday. All right, let's look. What's next Sunday's weather?
It's a good oh, yeah, the long range projections.
We're far out.
We're in the 10-day forecast, right? Are we just in it? Barely?
Just in it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
53 and partly cloudy. Sounds amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds great. Shorts to the arena. 53?
You've worn shorts in colder temperatures to the arena.
I have.
So.
I had committed
witnessed
to it. Was it colder than 53? It was definitely.
Yeah, it was
cold.
it was high 40s when you did that.
Yeah, that was tough.
53. Exciting.
Very. That
Less
would be
than a week
awesome.
to the end of the year. Fan appreciation night against Dallas, and then playoffs 8 days away or 9 days away. We'll see. Lots still to be figured out, though. The schedules of these teams. We'll have the stat of the day when we come back. I might just want to make it the stat that we just had. If you missed it on Doan, I am almost freaking out at how eerily similar his numbers are to start his career compared to his dad, who was a 21-year great player, Hall of Famer? Borderline Hall of Famer? Fringe Hall of Famer. I got some numbers for you on Doan if you missed that. When we come back here on WGR. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is, I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's a
100%.
veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here, and doesn't expect that
like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed, because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but he
Right.
didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround, where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it. We've got possession. I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour, and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it, because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yep.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yeah. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton Chaos. Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Doan scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored the other 3. They're back in action on Monday in Chicago, taking on the Blackhawks. Puck drop set for 8:30. In the Masters, Sam Burns and Roy McIlroy currently tied at first at 5 under par. It's underway as of now. Around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. ESPN's Jordan Reed said the Jets are reported to be extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. And Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's offseason program, putting him on track to lose a $1 million workout bonus. In baseball, the Blue Jays play the Twins at 7:07. The Yankees lost 1-0 to the A's. They play the Rays tonight at 7:10. And the Mets lost 7-1 to Arizona. They play the A's tonight at 7:10. And the Red Sox play the Cardinals at 8:15. Join us in the fight against cancer by riding with the WGR Ride for Roswell team on Saturday, June 27th. When you sign up, you'll get a rider gift from WGR and Tom's Pro Bike on Walden Avenue in Lancaster. Plus, at the event, stop by our table and scan the QR code for a chance to win a $1,000 gift card to Tom's Pro Bike. Visit WGR550.com for all the details. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Headlines. Paddock Chevrolet with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fans, WGR.
Stat of the day. If you missed it earlier, just eerie. The similarities between Josh Doan and Shane Doan. Their games are very similar. Shane, of course, retired. Their size is basically the same. 6'1", 223, 6'1", 200. That might have been Shane also like at 40 with that listed size. The points by age and how similar they are. Josh Doan at 21, 11 games played, 9 points. Shane Doan at 21 years old, 30 games, 11 points. At age 22, 51 games for Josh Doan, 19 points. Shane Doan that year, 22 points. And then this season, the one that is the most similar, age 23, 81 games for Shane Doan, 26 goals, 25 assists, 51 points. Josh Doan, 80 games, 25 goals, 26 assists, 51 points. Same amount of points. How high a bar is that for him to clear? Is that unrealistic? Is that crazy? Shane Doan was a good player, great player for a long, long time. He was never... Here's a crazy fact for you. According to Hockey Reference, Shane Doan was a zero-time All-Star.
Whoa.
I've got
that
him...
seems crazy.
Like, it doesn't have him there with any All-Star at the top. When I go down, like, by year, there's one in here where, like, All-Star NHL 6, so maybe he, like, made a team because someone got hurt as a replacement, but at the top, it doesn't have him as even a one-time All-Star.
Yeah.
It has him getting Selke votes a lot throughout his career, or a couple times, but never winning it.
For sure.
He won the Mark Messier Leadership Award. He won the King Clancy Award. But
I think Doan might be like the quintessential Hall of Very Good guy.
Sure. Yeah.
Like he was awesome for forever he played. And he was great the whole time. His career high in points is 78, but it was like every single year was at least like 50 in his prime.
And he never scored more than 31 goals, but there he is at age 39 scoring 28.
Exactly. And so I think that the real impressive thing about Doan was the longevity of that sort of arc. He just got to a place and just cruised there. And I mean, if you get that out of Josh,
yeah,
you're getting a cornerstone piece look at what Shane Doan represents to the Coyotes, now the Mammoth. Like he is one of the faces of that franchise.
Yeah.
Maybe the face of it. I mean, who do you think of when you think of the Coyotes other than Doan? I think it's Doan. He is their guy. And if you could get the kind of player that is able to muster that kind of gusto from a fan base, that'd be amazing, clearly. I mean,
right.
And he remarkably, like, the numbers are all there. The game feels so similar. They play very similar to me. Like, Doan was never a great skater. He was never a particularly impressive shooter or pass. Like, he was just a guy that did it all hard. And that's what Josh is to me. And that is super, super entertaining. And I think that there's a piece of what I've talked about this a couple times, of what Doan has brought to this team that really I think is almost understated. He came in and played in a way that I think we all wanted the rest of the team to play like. He, from the second he got here, was skating his balls off every night to go out there and do everything he could do to make any play, defensive zone, neutral zone, offensive zone. And I think there were times that we didn't feel that from a Tage or from a Quinn or from any of most of these guys. And I think his effort and his attitude and the success that he found early because of those things forced everybody around him to go like, I guess I should try playing like that a little bit more. And I think they did, and I think they started winning games and never stopped. In small part because he kind of came in and showed them, this is the blueprint. If you work as hard as me, I'm not as good as you, Tage. I'm not as good as you, Quinn. I'm not as good as you, any of you guys.
Yeah.
But I am going to work harder than you, and I'm going to be in the top 6, and I'm going to score goals, and I'm going to make plays, and we're going to win because of me. And if we all do that together, then we're going to win a lot of games. And I think that he has sort of forced that onto them. And that's really cool and impactful. For a young guy that just gets to a place to do that is very impressive.
Right, 23 years old still.
Yeah, he's younger than me.
Well, just turned 24.
Right, same age as me.
Yeah.
I came up playing. I didn't play against him a ton, but I saw him at USA Hockey stuff when I was, at the peak of my sort of powers, and he was another guy. And even then, he was not like you got to see Doan. You knew he was around because his dad was Shane, and you knew Shane was in the building because his son was playing.
Yeah.
And you were impressed by him. I had a couple buddies that played with him in Chicago that told me he was good, but he wasn't like a stud for us. But he just, head down, I'm going to just do this thing as hard as I can do it. And if you do that all the way through, you can be a good guy.
Yeah, he never, I'll look a little bit further. I think he never really scored like this. Even like Arizona State didn't score goals. It didn't score 25 goals. There was a year in the USHL where he scored 31. So I guess maybe there was a point at some point in his junior career where he was scoring more, but not by much than even he just did. And there's 2 games left. He could pot a couple more. I think him being as good as Shane Doan is maybe now more likely than it is
unlikely.
Like a dream. I think the longevity is the hardest part.
Yeah.
The idea he's going to do this for 20 years, you wouldn't bet on anybody to do that.
No.
But he's already close to as good as Shane was at his peak. Maybe there's one more gear. Like, again, approaching on 80 points, the assists coming in a little further manner. Like, I think there is one more level, but I feel like the odds he gets that one more level are strong. I also would want to bet $1 million he's on the next U.S. Olympic team on the fourth line.
The kind of guy that they would like.
1,000% he's on the fourth line of the next U.S. Olympic team.
And I don't see him ever regressing for any reason other than when he gets old. Because the game is so sort of rooted in pure effort.
Yeah.
The only reason he would ever not be this good is if he stopped trying this hard. And that's not a thing that a guy that tries this hard ever does.
Right.
Unless something like drastic happens, and he hates where he's playing or something, which, doesn't happen here right now. So I think we're in pretty good shape with a guy that's not going to get any worse than this, to me.
803-0550 is the phone number. Let's get connected with our fans. Brought to you by Northtown Kia, Western New York's #1 Kia dealer. Shop online at northtownkia.com. DJ is a let's get stupid. All right, this is dangerous, but we'll play it out. What's up, DJ?
All right, boys, let's get stupid. I got an analogy that might be real dumb, but we'll see. So I want to lay down my sword on Kevin Adams officially. It's been long enough, and man, how far we've come. But I want to compare Kevin Adams to Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell, everyone kind of considers him a joke, but that dude picked the One Direction band out of obscurity, found that talent, and put them together. But they weren't making hits yet when he was their manager. Until they got a real manager, that is when they started making hits. And we got Yarmo in here now, who's a real manager. He's gotten rid of the Simon Cowell where we're joking around and no one's taking it really serious. And now we got a full-blown team. We're making hits. We're the hottest thing in the country. I think it's a solid comparison, but Kevin Adams, thank you for the talent. Like another comparison we could do, he's Johnny Drama. He brought Vincent Chase out to Hollywood. Now we got our Ari, and he's making us a star.
Yeah. Thanks, DJ, for the call. All right. I did not know Simon Cowell found One Direction, by the way. I was not familiar with that story.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't believe you didn't know that, Joe.
How bad a comparison is that?
I like it a lot.
I kind of love it.
You know what it made me think of was, and this is based on a true story, but I'm just going to pull it from the movie, King Richard with Will Smith, about Serena Williams and Venus Williams working with and convincing a trainer when they're kids to train them and get them up to like a certain level. And then, okay, they're ready to either go pro, Venus and Serena. They're either ready to go pro or like what's the next big step. And you leave that trainer at the altar. All right. All right. Thanks for getting us this far. See ya.
See you later.
See you later. You made contributions,
but you couldn't finish the job.
Yeah. Like that's where I'm at with Adams. I think two things can be true. He should get credit for building this team. He should get credit for having Josh Stone in that trade. He should get credit for not buying out Matthias Samuelsson. I do not think that would have been an easy decision.
Right.
I think he should get credit for the McLeod trade. I do not think this would be happening if he was still general manager.
No.
I think both of those things are absolutely true. I don't think they would be in first for sure. I don't even think they'd be in the playoffs if Adams hadn't been fired. Personally.
I just don't think that it would have turned around the way it did. And that all you need to do, go back and watch Dahlin's first press conference when that happened and look at him smiling. It's harsh
and
it's hard, and I know it sucks for Kevin, but man, just go look at his face. It's a guy that was relieved. It's a guy that was excited. And I think that became infectious.
803-0550 is the phone number. Thanks for the call, DJ. We will have Paul on coming up at 9 o'clock. So stay tuned. More hockey talk, the division race, last night's results, Montreal over Tampa, helpful as well. It's Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. How impressive to you is what Colton Ellis did last night? The shutout, a good amount of saves, big saves, and just not having started in that long. Just how impressive was what he did to you?
That's kind of crazy, honestly. We're talking about a guy who hadn't started since February 3rd, so he's been kind of on the shelf for 2 months, and that's not it's not anything of his fault. The way the rotation went and the way the schedule went made it so that they found a nice rhythm with Lyon and Luukkonen to have them just go back and forth, or if any of those guys had to play 2 in a row, then they did. But it just worked out that way. And then we don't see him again until the Washington game, which took the team coming out completely flat and getting Lyon chased after about 10 minutes there in that game. And he comes in and he just, you're just kind of wearing it from that point. I mean, Buffalo kind of made it a little bit of a game after that, but it became not a game pretty quickly after that too. But, you couldn't fault Ellis for too much in that one. Cause it's like, again, hasn't seen any game action in 2 months. So you're like, okay, whatever. But, fate is funny, man. And the way things break down, and Lions probably not going to see him until maybe the start of the playoffs. If not, then we'll. Who knows? But he comes out and just plays an absolute banger of a game, and people will be like, Columbus, whatever. No, man, desperate team looking to make the playoffs, still fighting. They still played a pretty tough game. It's not exactly like they rolled over and Ellis had to stand on his head to make it count. So that's a really impressive game, and it really calms the waters, because you could understand if people were maybe getting like, Lions out, there goes the safety net, the 2-goalie blanket is good, and people aren't buying into Luukkonen yet, which I'm sure there's still some people out there that are that way, but you're thinking playoffs, this is where trouble starts, and Ellis just completely puts that to bed with the way he played last night. That was spectacular.
By the way, that's like 3 games in a row. I think you could say this about last night's third period, that these are the mature playoff type wins where, okay, I'm ahead in the third. I mean, the Rangers, it took a few minutes before they got ahead, where they're just shutting other teams down, right? Like the Blue Jackets ended up with a lot of shots, and Ellis made 2 incredible saves in the third period, but otherwise it felt like defensively they were right there keeping them to the outside, like take your shots from the point, but otherwise we're not letting you into the middle.
That's right, and that's 3 games in a row now where they have not surrendered a goal in the third. They led Tampa 3-2 going into the third, and Quinn adds the empty. Then the Ranger game, they're down 3-2 going into the third, and they get Tuck and Zucker and Benson, and then of course last night they explode there in the third with 4 goals. So they haven't surrendered a goal now for 60 straight minutes if you just count third period. So that's obviously a strong sign. When we had that little slip up with this team here, I guess you'd say, or maybe not their best, about a week and a half ago in that area there, where they had 3 or 4 games where you were wondering like, this isn't trending well. They didn't play third periods well, and now seemingly what had been kind of a money thing for them during that amazing 41 game stretch, like that mojo seems to be back now, how they're handling third periods.
There's a Myles Garrett story that I want to get to next hour for a few. We'll get Paul in at 9. Garrett's really testing the Browns. It's Jeremy and Joe. How bad is it last night of Dave Andreychuk to not remember the right first name of one of his former teammates, Václav Varada? Or is it possible that Václav Varada's nickname was Jacob?
That seems unlikely.
That's a tough pivot there, I feel like. I don't know. I don't think that's close.
Jake Varada doesn't come close to Václav, I don't think.
No, but the thing about that is that when you're in locker rooms, there's like one name you call a guy, and it's some abbreviation of a last name, and there are guys who, if you showed me a picture of them, I would go, oh, that's Howie, and I wouldn't remember that his name's Will. Right. But I would know, like, that's Howie. I know Howie. What are you talking about? But I wouldn't be able to tell. I don't
think that happened here, though.
No?
Remember Andre Sekera's nickname was Reggie, but Reg was at the end of his name. This guy, too, Varada, Rob even said it. How dare you, Václav Varada, not give 25 up to Dave Andreychuk? Yeah. In hindsight, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He was like one of the all-time scorers in team history.
Right.
And Varada's like, my number. I'm 25. You get 52 coming back. 803-0550 is the phone number. Paul, when we come back. Maybe Paul remembers. Verada had a nickname. The Sabres went over the Blue Jackets. Next in action Monday. We'll talk about it with Paul next on WGR. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is, I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's
100%.
a veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here, and doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed, because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but he
Right.
didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround, where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it. We've got possession. I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour, and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it, because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yeah.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yeah. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy. How impressive to you is what Colton Ellis did last night? The shutout, a good amount of saves, big saves, and just not having started in that long. Just how impressive was what he did to you?
That's kind of crazy, honestly. We're talking about a guy who hadn't started since February 3rd, so he's been kind of on the shelf for 2 months, and that's not, it's not anything of, his fault. The way the rotation went and the way the schedule went made it so that they found a nice rhythm with Lyon and Luukkonen to have them just go back and forth, or if any of those guys had to play 2 in a row, then they did. But it just worked out that way. And then we don't see him again until the Washington game, which took the team coming out completely flat and getting Lyon chased after about 10 minutes there in that game. And he comes in and he just, you're just kind of wearing it from that point. I mean, Buffalo kind of made it a little bit of a game after that, but, it became not a game pretty quickly after that too. But, you couldn't fault Ellis for too much in that one, because it's like, again, hasn't seen any game action in 2 months. So you're like, okay, whatever. But, fate is funny, man. Yeah. And the way things break down, and Lions probably not going to see him until maybe the start of the playoffs. If not, then we'll. Who knows? But he comes out and just plays an absolute banger of a game, and people will be like, Columbus, whatever. No, man, desperate team looking to make the playoffs, still fighting. They still played a pretty tough game. it's not exactly like they rolled over and Ellis had to stand on his head to make it count. So like that's a really impressive game, and it really calms the waters, because you could understand if people were maybe getting like, Lions out, there goes the safety net, there, the 2-goalie blanket is good, and people aren't buying into Luukkonen yet, which I'm sure there's still some people out there that are that way, but you're thinking playoffs, this is where trouble starts, and Ellis just completely puts that to bed with the way he played last night. That was spectacular.
Alex Tuck with 8 seconds puts it in the corner. 5 seconds to go. Welcome to Ellis Island in downtown Buffalo, New York. It's his first career shutout. 5-0 the final.
The Sabres beat the Blue Jackets 5-0 in Colton
Chaos.
Ellis's first career shutout. Josh Doan scored 2 goals. Jack Quinn, Peyton Krebs, and Rasmus Dahlin scored the others. They're back in action on Monday, so the weekend off in Chicago taking on the Blackhawks. Puck drop set for 8:30. In the Masters, Sam Burns and Rory McIlroy currently tied at first, 5 under par. Second round is underway now. Around the NFL, ESPN's Matt Miller believes Texas A&M wide receiver Casey Concepcion is a name to watch for the 49ers. ESPN's Jordan Reed said the Jets are reported to be extremely high on Indiana wide receiver Omar Cooper Jr. And Browns edge rusher Myles Garrett skipped the start of the team's off-season workout program, putting him on track to lose $1 million in workout bonuses. In baseball, the Blue Jays play the Twins at 7:07 tonight. Yankees lost 1-0 to the A's. They play the Rays tonight at 7:10. The Mets lost 7-1 to Arizona. They play the A's tonight at 7:10. And the Red Sox play the Cardinals at 8:15. Enter for your chance to win a trip to the night before the draft in Pittsburgh, April 22nd. It's an all-star, invite-only concert starring Jason Aldean, John Morgan, and Shane Prophet, just days before Jason's new album, Songs About Us, drops on April 24th. Enter the national contest at Odyssey.com/the night before. That's your Paddock Chevrolet Sports Update. Paddock Chevrolet, with you for the extra mile since 1935. I'm Joe Cali for Western New York's Voice of the Fan, WGR.
It's Paul Hamilton.
Guys, how are you?
He keeps the people coming back for more.
My Uber dropped me at the wrong terminal, so I had to wait for a bus.
On WGR.
Paul Hamilton now on the Wester Hotline. Good morning. It's Jeremy and Joe heading into the weekend. Sabres off till Monday. What is that? Paul's appearance, by the way, on WGR brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. Not only the Sabres off, Paul, there's no hockey tonight.
Isn't that wild?
In the NHL?
What is the NHL is such a smart league, they just Friday night, you got races going right down to the wire, and you decide, we're not going to have any games whatsoever. Go watch baseball or the NBA. You don't want to watch us,
Yeah. I thought maybe, my first thought was, I wonder if that's because, is tomorrow the national championship in college? Oh, no, that's Saturday, too. It's not that. So there's just no hockey on tonight.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Smart job by the league on that one. So, in the Sabres off till Monday, as we mentioned. So, Paul, last night's game against Columbus, the story of the game is Colton Ellis. What a performance from him, not starting a game for that long, having that game. And you know what? Not all shutouts are created equal. That was not 15 saves. Your defense allowed nothing. They played well, especially in the third, but he had to make some saves last night.
There was chaos around that crease, and part of the reason why in the second period was twice the Sabres defensemen got caught on the ice, and they couldn't get off. Samuelson almost played a 3-minute shift. I think it was 2:45 maybe, something like that. And so the Sabres were just hanging on there, trying to keep the shots out to the perimeter, which, Columbus was just taking a shot from anywhere. They did hit the crossbar and the post in the flurry, but they didn't score. And Ellis made some great saves. There were some blocked shots. And, So that's where the shot total started getting out of whack, was those two incidents in the second period where Buffalo just got caught and they couldn't get off, and it was shot after shot, and Ellis was right there. He looked different to me last night. In the first period right away, I thought, he's on his game. Look at him. He was quick. He was quick to get up, up, down, over, wherever he needed to be. Get the leg out, you're sprawled, get the arm out type of a thing. Everything looked quicker than what I remember him being when I've watched him before, especially the game against Washington, which Lindy Ruff admitted that, he thought too that he looked rusty in the Washington game. He didn't look quick. He didn't look fast. But that's why when I was talking about this game yesterday, it's like, I'm not predicting that he's going to win, or I don't know if he'll win another game in his career. I don't know. But people were just like, oh, well, the Sabres have given up on the season, I see. They're not going to start Luukkonen, so I guess they don't want to be in first place. And it's like, whoa, wait a minute. The guy, coming in, the guy is 7-4-1. One thing I have been impressed with this year is he somehow finds ways to win sometimes. And you might not be all that impressed with the game you saw him play, but at the end of the day, the W was on the board. 7-4-1 isn't a bad record. Now 8-4-1. So that's why I was telling people. I said, I'm not predicting he's going to win. You may be right. He may lose, whatever. But don't just say the Sabres are giving up on the season because they're throwing him in net.
Right. And really, his numbers didn't look that great before last night, but
no, they didn't.
896 is actually the average save percentage in the league this year. It's kind of down. So he was kind of right at average. And now, right. I mean, obviously after last night, he's now above average.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I've seen some good games out of him this year. I mean, he's won in some. And remember the Tampa game? He was on schedule to win that game until 20-some-odd seconds left when the Sabres took a penalty, and it was a 6-on-4, and one of the hardest shooters in the league, Radish, is wide open in the slot. Well, you let him wind up from there, it's either going to hit you or go in. Or go wide. It's as simple as that. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're not going to be able to, on that shot that he has, you're not going to have a reaction on it. So I wasn't – sitting there, I can't believe he let a goal in there. I mean, what are you going to do when Radish is standing there when winding up? And then they lost in overtime. Gensel scored almost at the buzzer, of overtime. He just got the goal in. So, he had a good game that day and almost beat Tampa Bay in Tampa Bay. That was his last start.
Mm-hmm. How important, Paul, do you think it was to see that game from Ellis, given that we got the news on Alex Lyon yesterday that wasn't the greatest injury-wise?
Yeah, and that was the other reason I think it was smart to play Ellis, because it seems like maybe Lyon might not be ready, that's what Lindy Ruff said, for the playoffs when they start. Well, if you don't give Ellis a start, that means if in the game one of the playoffs, Luukkonen gets one between the eyes and is done, you're bringing in a goaltender who's basically been in relief once since February. So to me, it was essential to get him a game and get him in there and get him going, just in case you need to use him in the playoffs if something happens to Luukkonen. And, Brian Koziol, I think, was brought up the point, too. You don't want to risk Luukkonen being injured. With playing back-to-back in a back-to-back type of situation when he's really not used to doing it. So, that was the other thing. You don't wear him out before you get him to the playoffs or risk injury there. So there were different reasons why I think it was smart to put Ellis in goal.
Yeah, Luukkonen, not a lot of experience either. I had looked yesterday. He had only done it one time in his career. Granato had him do it once, and I think he allowed 5. So, I mean, really, there's not many guys in the league that do have experience doing that anymore. But,
right.
Yeah, for Luukkonen, it was only the one time. So, the rest of the game, Paul, how did you feel like they played overall? Defensively, I mean, it was 1-0 in the third. There were a lot of shots for Columbus, but I don't know. There were a couple big stops by Ellis. You had that scramble play in the second, but it felt like a lot of the Columbus shots were coming from the point or from the outside.
Yeah, especially when they had the Sabres tired. It was like, we got them tired. Let's hem them in. Let's just shoot from anywhere. Let's get chaos, and they did. Ellis had to make some really good saves along the way. That's what I noticed was the chaos around the crease was more than maybe you normally see the Sabres have to defend against. Some of the shots Columbus were taking were wide. Like the shots were way out of whack in the second period shot attempts. I think Columbus might have been up to over 50. I think they had 52 after 2 periods. But then I saw like 15 of them were wide, and then the Sabres had blocked. It was into double figures, maybe 11, 13, something like that. So, the Sabres did a good job of getting in the lanes to block some shots, too. There was a couple of one thing that impressed me about Ellis, too, is he's in the middle of making a great save. And as he makes the save, he sweeps his stick and clears the rebound into the corner. He did that twice. I remember when one of the Columbus was just eye to eye with him. He makes the save, and in one sweeping motion, he just smacks the puck into the corner and gets the rebound out of there. Mm-hmm. That was something I hadn't seen him do too much. In the beginning, when he played for the Sabres, I liked his rebound control, and I liked it last night. It seemed like he was right on with his rebound control. And another thing this kid does is, as Lindy Rupp said, he's the first one at practice. He's always working on his craft. He never complains. I mean, he looks at it. He is appreciative of the opportunity that he has, even if it's just practicing for a while and he doesn't get a game, and he gets himself ready. He keeps himself ready, even though he might be inactive for a long period of time.
Paul Hamilton with us on the West Her hotline. Josh Doan's goal, Paul, in the third period, he gets another one. Benson found him at the doorstep. That's 25 goals for him. We talked about this a couple times earlier, but the big picture, how surprising should it be that he's had this year? Offensively, I think everyone knew what he was about effort-wise, and that does contribute to why he has scored. But defensively, it was there. Physically, it was there. 25 goals, though, and 51 points. I mean, it feels like that's also the type of year, given how it's happened, that you should expect going forward. I don't feel like this is a year that, there has to be regression. He could be a 20, 25 goal scorer consistently for maybe the length of his contract.
Lindy Ruff expects more. I mean, not saying he what he meant by that was, I think he can even be better than 25. That's what he was looking at, and I don't doubt that. When they made the trade, Adams talked about how they wanted him in the trade because they felt he was a good young player with some huge upside. He had come off a 28 goal season in the American Hockey League. Mm-hmm. And as Ray Ferraro, I heard him say on his podcast, but when the trade was made, that he had seen him a lot. And he said it seemed like in the beginning of the season last year with Utah, he was kind of feeling his way through the NHL. And then as the season went on, he was starting to get better and better and better. And he, too, felt, when the Sabres made the deal, that there was a very big upside to this guy. And he felt that the Sabres would not be disappointed in him. Now, nobody said 25 goals this year. That's a bit of a surprise. I had felt, too, that there was an upside to him. But, no, if you would have asked me in training camp, no, I wouldn't have predicted 25 goals this year. I would have said I wouldn't doubt that he could be a 25-goal scorer as he develops. But I don't think I would have said that. I know I wouldn't have said this year.
Yeah. That combination, him and Benson, seems to really work, too. Mm-hmm. That line, too, because Norris is good defensively and both the other two. Lindy even said it the other day, teams don't have quote-unquote shutdown lines anymore, but that line just seems all three guys are good in their own end, and I don't know why you'd break them up. I think what could be interesting, this would be a good problem to have, is if Noah Ostlund comes back, hopefully, before the playoffs, I mean, he's had such a good year, then the lineup becomes interesting, because I don't think you'd want to split that line up, but I guess Ostlund just that's the depth, right? You got to go to the fourth line whenever you come back because the top three lines are just working the way they're working.
Yeah, and Josh Norris is starting to get the offense rolling again. Slowly but surely. As when you look at recently, 2 assists in this game. So he is now on a 4-game point streak where he has a goal and 4 assists. You can go to the last 6 games, add 2 more assists, so a goal and 6 assists, in the Islander game, because he had really, he had a goal and an assist in 11 games, and it was just struggling. But one of the reasons, I remember talking to him, and he was on the pregame with me, we both talked about his defensive play and how good it was. And he said, look, am I upset that I'm not scoring and the offense? Sure. But he said, you have to find a way to contribute in other ways. And he felt his defense was good. And I probably had in my notes for 3 different times in games where he just busted it back as fast as he could go. It was an outnumbered situation. And he got back and helped stop the play and get the play going the other way. And it was just desire to get back. And he's got wingers that are tenacious, that on the forecheck, and they just never stop. I mean, they're just at you and at you and at you. And they win the battles. Why? Because they have the desire to get in there and win those battles.
Right. Norris, too. The speed really creates so many little values in the game that you got to spot. Like the Krebs goal even. Like, I don't know why they're out there together. Someone, maybe Krebs at the end of his shift. But Norris beats 2 Blue Jackets to make it a 2-on-1. And if he doesn't do that, then the defenseman won't give Krebs the shot the way he did.
And Norris got the play going in transition. And then the two of them have speed. I don't know if you noticed it, and I thought I had noticed it, and I asked Peyton Krebs at the end of the first period, and he said, yes, he did that. It was just so subtle as he came in through the right circle. If you look at it again, he opens his stick just for a second. By opening his stick, Greaves thinks he's passing the puck to Norris. You can see Greaves' head flips over towards Norris. And then Krebs just pulled his stick back and ripped it. And by that time, Greaves had made the decision. And why? And Krebs said to me in the interview, he said, well, people think I'm a passer. And I've shown I'm a passer. So Greaves, of course, thought as soon as he saw Krebs open up that stick that he was going to pass it across, and he didn't. And that's not the first time this year I've seen him do it. That's why I was kind of looking for it, because he did it another time this year for another goal. And I've seen Norris do it too. It's just a subtle little thing. If you watch the goal back, just look at Greaves' head. When he pulls the stick back for just a split second, his head moves towards Norris, and now Krebs has him.
Paul, what'd you think of Logan Stanley last night? Lindy called it his best game as a Sabre.
Yeah, and he was more involved. On the pass to Quinn, I haven't seen him up and involved in the play like that. But as Lindy Ruff has said too with him, he's still feeling his way with the Sabres system. He says it's different than Winnipeg's, so he feels that's been part of it. He wants him to be more aggressive. It's almost the exact same thing he said about Samuelsson before Samuelsson became who he is this year. He's got to learn to use his size and strength more when he's defending down low. And that's one of the things he's been talking to him about. But I thought he was active in that game, which is something that I hadn't seen him be really as a Sabre.
Paul Hamilton with us on the Westher Hotline, beating the Blue Jackets 5-0. And now the math looks good. I mean, it's a 2-point lead. Montreal winning last night was the best case scenario in regulation. So how do you look at their chances? I mean, Chicago is not a good team, and Dallas, by them winning last night over Minnesota, that increases the probability they'll have nothing to play for. But we'll see. Right. That's not decided yet. So how do you feel like it sets up for them? Montreal still has the game in hand, but do you feel like they're really – I mean, they could really even clinch by Monday if tomorrow goes well?
Well, Buffalo has, as you mentioned, their destiny in their own hands. They win both games. The best Montreal could do is tie them, and Buffalo is the tiebreaker. So Montreal couldn't get past them. So, they have it in their destiny in their own hands if they win both games. But, yeah, you look at – actually, Buffalo will have a game in hand on Montreal by the time they play on Monday, because Montreal plays Saturday against Columbus and Sunday in Long Island against New York. So, they'll have two more games have already been played. If the Canadians do them the favor of losing both games, Buffalo will be in great shape like that. And look at Tampa Bay. I mean, they're 4 points behind now with a 3-game losing streak. So, but they play at Boston tomorrow, and then on Monday they're home against the Detroit Red Wings. So the Sabres may not have to win both games, but it is in their own hands. If they win them both, there's nothing Montreal and Tampa Bay can do.
Things to figure out, too, before that happens. I mean, a week from tomorrow will be night one of the playoffs. We'll see if the Sabres are on night one. We've talked so much about the third pair, and we had been talking so much about goalie. That's been settled, it seems. Luukkonen, we all feel like it's going to be the guy. The fourth line, Lindy said yesterday Sam Carrick not going to be ready for the start of the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you have a preference, guys you've liked down there? Kozak, Dunn, Greenway. I mean, Malenstein will play. But next to Malenstein, do you have a preference on who you've liked recently that if tonight were the night for game one that you feel like should be in the lineup?
For most of the season, I'd like Josh Dunn better. I like Kozak and Dunn. I like them both. I like what they bring to the game. I like how they play, the tenacity they play with. But Kozak's had some good games lately. I like the way, especially last night that he played. So I might say Kozak if I'm talking about it right now, unless you're playing Tampa. If you're playing Tampa, absolutely, I'm going with Dunn.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're not going to get Tampa. Most likely, you're not going to get Tampa now in the opening round. But you could. I mean, if you slip and Montreal goes by you, then you're playing Tampa. Then I think I would go with Dunn.
Do you feel like Greenway is in?
Yes.
Okay. Would that change if Oslin's ready to go? No, or would that be a no because would Oslin just be your fourth line center then?
I'm not totally convinced, because Lindy likes Oslin a lot. So I'm not totally convinced that he wouldn't touch that line that you're talking about. I don't disagree with you, what you said. I've liked how the line has performed recently, and Benson is also starting to roll up points where he hadn't earlier in the season. So I'm not disagreeing with what you're saying. I agree with you, but he likes Oslin a lot, Lindy Ruff, the way he plays. So I'm not totally convinced that he wouldn't put him back there.
Yeah, Tuesday with me, he brought him up, I think uninitiated. Like I think we've missed him. Like we were talking about the stretch where they had lost 5 of 7, and he made sure to bring that up. Like we've missed him. So yeah, Lindy, any chance to praise Oslin, and you see it in the game, right? Like he plays late in games. If they're down 1, up 1, like there's a trust there, even though he's a rookie.
And even if he does change that line, it's not the. I don't think you're killing the line. I mean, you're still putting a good hockey player there. So I mean, I think you're okay either way.
I agree, because even when Benson was on that fourth line, the fourth line was producing. I mean, Carrick was there, but like you still were getting offense from Benson, even though he was on a quote unquote fourth line. So
yeah, Oslin I think would go into the lineup. I mean, Kozak would sit and Oslin would go in, and then what we're discussing here, well, how do you do the lines then if that happens?
These are all good problems to have.
Exactly. And Lindy Ruff says that all the time.
Yeah. All right, Paul, 2 more games to go. Thanks for this, and we'll talk next week.
Sounds good. Take care.
Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline. His appearance brought to you by Raylax Honda. Raylax, we got this. Yeah, I not really thought until this just now about, like, I'm hoping Oslin's back. There's 2 games left. There hasn't been much of an update lately. Lindy loves him. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite players to watch. Yeah, I wonder what they would do. Because I think if it were me, I would do what Paul just laid out. I would put Oslin back on that line with Norris or Doan. I don't know. That's a good question, though. Because he is a natural center. And I could also easily see the argument for this is going good. These 3 lines, don't touch them. McLeod, Zucker, and Quinn, they've played, I mean, how long have they played together? Has it been 2 months? 3 months? Those guys don't change.
It might be more than that for them. They have been together maybe like since the streak started. It's been a while that those 3 have been going.
Krebs is not moving off Tage and Tuck.
No.
Like, there's been a couple of stretches where Benson's gone up there or even Oslin's gone up there, but for the most part since December, those three guys are together.
I wouldn't be stunned, though, if it's time to get some movement in, if Benson ends up back up there, especially if he's producing now the way he
Back
is. Back up top, and then you slide...
Does Krebs become your fourth-line center?
Osland in where Benson was, Krebs down to the fourth-line center, scratch whoever fourth-line center is at that point.
Yeah.
That would be my shuffle.
I don't disagree with Paul that I think Greenway is in if the playoffs were tonight. But I think that's my guy right now for... He scares me in the playoffs. The skating is just so poor compared to... pretty much everybody else in the lineup.
That is fair, but he is so smart. He is almost Reinhardt in that way, where he's defensive Reinhardt. How about that?
Defensively, yeah.
He gets into the spot he needs to be in early because he knows he can't get there late. And so he's there all the time. I don't think he's coming out of the playoffs lineup. I just don't think that. I think he is too valuable as a defensive piece for Lindy, and he is really great at that stuff. He is super smart. I have really grown to like watching him play for his own strengths. I used to get frustrated by him. I always say about him, he's the kind of guy that really annoys you if your team's bad. If he's good, you need him.
If they're fully healthy, he comes out, doesn't he? And fully healthy, I would include Carrick in this. And I guess that's tough to know. Lindy said not by the start of the playoffs. What does that mean? Is that not round one? Is it just he won't play game 1 or 2? But if Carrick got back...
And Oslin's healthy.
And Oslin's... Like, if they're... They what are the odds they are ever fully healthy from here to the end? Probably not likely. But if they ever were, I think Greenway's out.
I think that's probably right. But I would bet that they'd mix him in. Trying to...
For who?
One of Carrick, Malenstein, like
Benson,
maybe if Benson's struggling.
I hope I never live to see the day where we're sitting here and there's a tweet that Greenway's in for Benson.
I'm with you, but I'm telling you, this is the kind of guy that in playoffs becomes more valuable for coaches. He will want him around in the playoffs. That's just my feeling on it. I don't know that I even agree with it. But I think that is real. And I do see the value of Greenway. He's big, long, mean, heavy, and can defend.
Yep.
That's good stuff. He can't skate as well as you'd like, and he's not good with it on his stick, but there's plenty of guys around the league like that.
I don't blame him for that penalty last night because this has not come up today yet. The refs were abysmal last night.
It was crazy.
I mean, that penalty... That one's a tough one to see. I don't need to lose my mind over Greenway fires the puck across the ice, and there's a guy right there, and it barely nicked his stick. But it did, so it should not have been a call. That should not have been a delay of game on Greenway. And there were a couple of other plays along the way. Was there not a flip play on Columbus immediately after that didn't get called? Or did that end up in the bench?
It ended up in the bench, and I don't think everybody knows that if it goes into the bench, it's not delay a game.
The broadcast didn't really show where the puck ended up, which is why I didn't know. Because I knew that, but I didn't know where the puck landed.
Rob, I think, exclaimed that it almost hit Appert, and that's how I knew it went into the bench. I never saw it go in.
You're right, he did say that.
But Rob said it was a foot away from hitting Appert, and that's how I knew it hit the bench. That's not going to be a penalty.
That's fair. And there was maybe one other. The one though, I was hot for like 20 minutes after this, where I was losing my mind on the Benson penalty. And I get that you call the retaliatory penalty more often in the NHL than the guy who did it first. I know that's the standard. I know that happens in the league. But Benson got his nose broken with a punch right in front of the ref. I don't mind if you call Benson for the retaliatory penalty. But you're allowed to just sock a dude in the face right in front of the ref and no call?
I also was...
If they had scored on that power play, I mean, I don't know what I would have. I was already losing my mind and they killed the penalty.
Right. Yeah. No, that was a terrible...
It was so bad.
The last 6 or 7 games, the reffing has been good gracious, awful. Like, super bad. And Paul, we should have
Get
had
ready for the
Paul on
playoffs.
for this rant. But it is bad. It gets worse too. So buckle up, everybody.
Get ready for the playoffs.
We haven't been in it in a while, but there's going to be some moments that are going to drive you mad.
I mean, it's fair to say, isn't it? Benson gets treated unfairly.
Yeah,
it's been years of this, and I'm not even saying it's because the refs hate Zach Benson. Although that play, you might say that because that's not during the play. I feel like sometimes the refs don't know how to call Benson because the way he battles, he's so low. He very often goes down to a knee or just down on the ice totally, and then pops back up so quick that it's like, well, okay, trip. No, that happens with this guy all the time. That's how he's playing. I don't know, like. I could see why he's difficult to call. I just think they do such a poor job of it sometimes, and that last night is not that. No. That is just one dude got punched in the face, and you decided not to call it.
Yeah.
And then the other guy did the same thing back.
And
he's bleeding from his nose. He's got to go to the locker room, and you gave him the only call.
Yeah, it's not good. Not a good job.
Playoffs, this will be ramped up.
Oh, yeah.
When we come back, Myles Garrett. I think there needs to be more talk about Myles Garrett. I'm surprised that the networks, draft season, this is kind of not a great draft for content. And here's Myles Garrett. Like, this dude is giving you all the signs that he doesn't want to stay in Cleveland. Tell you what he did when we come back here on WGR. How impressive to you is what Colton Ellis did last night? The shutout, a good amount of saves, big saves, and just not having started in that long. Just how impressive was what he did to you?
That's kind of crazy, honestly. We're talking about a guy who hadn't started since February 3rd, so he's been kind of on the shelf for 2 months, and that's not it's not anything of his fault. The way the rotation went and the way the schedule went made it so that they found a nice rhythm with Lyon and Luukkonen to have them just go back and forth, or if any of those guys had to play 2 in a row, then they did. But it just worked out that way. And then we don't see him again until the Washington game, which took the team coming out completely flat and getting Lyon chased after about 10 minutes there in that game. And he comes in and he just, you're just kind of wearing it from that point. Buffalo kind of made it a little bit of a game after that, but it became not a game pretty quickly after that too. But you couldn't fault Ellis for
portions of WGR programming are brought to you by the American Lung Association's Fight for Air Climb on May 9th at Salem Field. 500 steps, one mission, 0 excuses. The Fight for Air Climb Buffalo at Salem Field steps off on May 9th. Be the athlete your fitness tracker wants you to be. Register at climbbuffalo.org. That's climbbuffalo.org.
Who knows? But But, he comes out and just plays an absolute banger of a game. And, and people will be like, Columbus, whatever. No, man, desperate team looking to make the playoffs, still fighting. They still played a pretty tough game. It's not exactly like they rolled over and Ellis had to stand on his head to make it count. So, that's a really impressive game, and it really calms the waters, because you could understand if people were maybe getting like, uh-oh. Lions out. There goes the safety net. There, the 2-goalie blanket is good, and people aren't buying into Luukkonen yet, which I'm sure there's still some people out there that are that way. But you're thinking playoffs. This is where trouble starts, and Ellis just completely puts that to bed with the way he played last night. That was spectacular.
He is so much fun to watch because of stuff like that. It almost reminds me a little bit. Datsuk used to do that all the time, where he would track back on guys and pick the pocket and just turn it right up the ice.
Yeah.
And that plays so well into what the Sabres do. They're so quick to transition. And when you've got guys that can make transitions happen in different ways, whether it be retrievals on D and you get quick ups by having great breakout passes. That's one way to transition quickly. Or you get track back, forced turnovers that you can turn on a dime and get up ice, like Doan had last night. And it makes you dangerous no matter what is happening, no matter what the opposing team is trying to do to you. Because whether you're trying to carry the puck around and transport it on your stick, you've got guys like Doan, Norris does it, Benson does it, that will track you down and steal it off you and turn it right around and go. Or if you're going to try and dump it in on them, guess what? We've got D that are going to go back there, take that puck, make a guy miss, and break the puck out in one fell swoop. And then you're going.
Yeah.
And that is why they play so fast so often. There's no one way to counterpunch them. You can't go, all right, well, they're retrieving pucks so well, we got to try and enter with control and do that. But no, you can't. They're too long on the blue line. They got too much length there. They're too good as skaters, and their forwards will track back too well.
Right.
And you get stuck in this loop as an opposing team against them, I think, where you don't know what to do. How are we getting away from these guys? They won't get off of us. We can't do anything. And that is why I think you see these third periods especially that become so just muddied up for these other teams. And it's really, really fun to watch. And I just think they've got players that accentuate the things that they coach into them. And it's really impressive. As a full organization, it feels like they have the kind of harmony that you talk about, that we hear the Bills talk about, right? Like, I think Yarmo's bringing in guys, Kevin Adams brought in guys that can do the things that Lindy Ruff and Seth Appert want to do, and those players are willing to execute. And that's why you've got 106 points. Like, that's it.
106 points.
What's next for me? Super Bowl MVP.
Myles Garrett, who, by the way, went on that might be the same podcast, got a fight with Micah Parsons.
No, that was
That's
not.
a different one?
No.
He got a fight with Micah Parsons, and they were debating, like, Parsons was claiming that he can do more than Garrett can. And Garrett is like, I had a sack last year at every defensive line position. Like, I played everywhere. What are you talking about? That was a funny interaction back and forth. It's Jeremy and Joe here on WGR. And part of that is Parsons is he's a confident dude. Garrett, I think there should be some trade chatter with him. He not reportedly, I think it was confirmed, skipped the Browns' first day of their team offseason program. And because of the way the bonuses are set up in Garrett's contract, he is now on track, because of skipping that day, to lose a $1 million workout bonus. This would be where I don't know the answer to this. I would wonder, what are the Browns' options? Are they allowed to give him the $1 million bonus anyway? Can they waive it, or like, there was a reason why he wasn't here, we're going to give it to him anyway? Or are they not allowed to? Because, hey, it's in the contract. You got to be there. If you're not there, this is the way the CBA is set up. There's no mechanism for them to just give him the $1 million. That I'd wonder, because if they're allowed to just give him the bonus anyway, I feel like this would be Garrett testing the Browns. I'm not happy. I signed up for another year, but everyone knows, because I wrote a letter a year ago saying I was never going to play for the Browns again. And I'm talking there about I want to be the Super Bowl MVP, and this team is nowhere. Everybody knows I'd like to be traded. And the only reason I'm not is because you've been so defiant in that idea, and I don't want to fight with you about it. Well, now let me test you a little bit. Because we reworked this contract to make me more tradable. I'm not going to show up. Let's see. What are you going to do? You still going to give me my $1 million anyway because you want to keep me happy? Or do you want to start something? Come on, let's go. If I'm Myles Garrett, that's where I'd be like, come on, gloves on. Or I guess, gloves off. Let's see what you got. You want to make this ugly? I'm ready. That's where I'd be if I were Myles Garrett. Because if I'm Myles Garrett, I got to get out of Cleveland. Enough. I'm 31 years old. I just set their sack record. I've never done anything of significance winning. You gave me the money. We set up the contract so that it's tradable. Let's go. Get me out. And maybe this is the first step to that happening. The only thing that's tough is it's such a tough time of year for other teams making that deal. It could happen at the draft. There are still some teams that could do it. New England is one of them, unfortunately. New England could make that trade. They could fit Garrett in. They could give them a couple of first-round picks. You had the Browns proposing 5 draft picks, 5 years of picks being proposed to. Like, this deal, the potential of this deal has to be on their mind. I know they're talking about, we'd never move him. We'd never trade him. We're not even talking about it. They're defiantly talking that way. But all of their actions have pointed to they're preparing for the worst. And now Garrett not showing up when there was $1 million on the line for him just going. He's testing them. That's how I see it. I don't think the Bills are in a position where they could really do anything about this. I think Brandon Beane would love that player. He has said it last year on a podcast, if you could have any player in the league. Are there enough financial gymnastics that are possible that they could do it? It's a $23 million cap hit, but it's only a $1 million base salary. Maybe there is a way. He actually, with that, is more tradable. I think this is how it looks. He's more tradable for a team with no cap space than Dexter Lawrence is, who's also demanding a trade from the New York Giants. So maybe there is something. But I think this needs to be on people's radars. The 5-year draft pick rule, reworking his contract that does nothing for Cleveland other than makes it easier for them to trade him. The fact they signed a tradable contract in the first place a year ago. Garrett talking all about and writing a letter, wanting out a year ago. Now he's not showing up when there was $1 million bonus on the line. There's too much smoke to ignore it. And for some reason, ESPN's not all over it. This is mid-April.
We'd be burying Ty Simpson in the news cycle if we did that. Come on.
Right. What, we got to talk about Ty Simpson for the 9,000th time? The thing I wondered about that is maybe they're not doing that because they hammered the Myles Garrett topic a year ago. And, are we just going to do this again? But it hasn't stopped them on topics like that before. You have NBA stuff, too, right now. NBA playoffs and whatnot. I just think Garrett could very well be traded. And he's the best defensive player in the league. That's monumental. The idea that a player that's that good could be traded still. And there's a lot of smoke that I think says he could. I would take right now him just not going to New England. If you told me, Bills won't get him, but New England won't get him, I think I would have to take that because there's a chance. Right now, and this is not how it works, I believe, because $23 million is the cap hit, $1 million base salary. The teams right now that still have the most cap space, that would have the easiest time getting Garrett, that are contenders. The Chargers have $50 million in space still, somehow. New England, $36 million in space. Philadelphia, $35 million. You know where he'd go? That's the team. That's the big swinging team that always makes the giant move. That's the team. They're in on every star pass rusher that exists all the time. Philly can do it. Seattle's got $34 million in space. Baltimore, how do all these good teams have space? Here are the Bills near the bottom. And there's some other good teams that have no space. Kansas City's got none. The Jaguars have none. Tampa's got none. But here's the Seahawks with 34, Eagles with 35, New England 36, Chargers 49.9. The Niners have 29. The Rams have 28. Yeah, that's a lot of contenders that could bid for Garrett. And I don't think the Bills are one. 803-0550 is the phone number. Extendo Sports, when we come back, we'll get you off to the Extra Point Show coming up on WGR. And then Doan, this guy is just a hunter. He is, I wonder if he just sees red when he sees vulnerable prey that isn't expecting to get taken like that.
Yep.
Where Charlie Coyle is skating back towards his own blue line. He probably thinks, I got time here. I got a little bit of space. He's 100%. A veteran player who's been in the league for 15 years, right? I can move back a little bit here. And doesn't expect that, like a missile, Doan is going to fly in and strip him of the puck and gather the puck without losing speed. Because that was critical there.
Yeah.
Like, he could have stole the puck, but it gets caught in his feet, or Coyle gets a piece of it, and the play gets stopped, and maybe you still get zone time, but you don't go in on the rush.
And even that would be a great play, but
right.
He didn't. He did what you're saying and just scooped it up and went full head of steam. And when you get that kind of play that's a quick turnaround where a goaltender is that you go in, you've got two modes as a goaltender. You're in, all right, I'm battling and I'm tracking this play, and you've got, all right, my team's got it. We've got possession. I am now just analyzing, reading, sort of preparing for what may come. And when you get a turnover quick like that, and all of a sudden there's a guy coming at you at 100 miles an hour and he makes a shot like that, it's almost impossible to get a good read on it because your feet aren't set. You don't have the depth you probably want. You're not expecting the shot to come at you that quick.
Yep.
And he places it perfectly. It's a beautiful play by Doan in all aspects.
That's the play that if he is ever going through a stretch where he's not scoring goals, he's just always going to be a valuable player.
Yep.
He'll make plays like that and not score on them, and it's still a good play, and it's an effective play, and it's a play that impacts you. Like, taking away a possession from them and creating one of your own with that effort and that mindset to be looking for those strips, it's just always going to be valuable. Yep. Every game that he's playing. So I just couldn't be more impressed with the season that he has had. To get to 25 goals and outscore J.J. Peterka, the guy he was traded for, when he was the throw-in to the deal, even though Adams wanted him badly. Like, that was evident in the embedded piece at the draft. Just crazy. All right, I got a poll up at Sneaky Joe Sports. If Noah Oslin's ready to go game 1, who's playing on the fourth line? Oslin, Benson, Krebs. You can make a case for any of the three. And not even to make it sound like demotion. Because all three have been great. But I just don't think there's any other guy that would move down. Quinton's not moving down. Zucker's not moving down. Doan's not moving down. Tuck, obviously. Tage. McLeod? I didn't like him again last night on a couple of plays. Not overall. I thought overall he was fine and even good on some plays. But there just seems to be more turnovers on a nightly basis than otherwise, where he spins up the wall and there's a pass to the middle that's intercepted. Or he's muscled off a puck behind the net and he tries to slide it, but there's nobody there. It's just happening a little bit more often than I think it was happening before. But I do think he's been better the last 3-4 games than he had been for a couple of weeks. So, no, I would not put McLeod on the fourth line. The Masters today. Robert McIntyre has reportedly been reprimanded after a code of conduct violation at Augusta. Did you see what he did?
Did he hit his bag? I saw him hit his bag with a club after he went long over a green. That's the one thing I think this might be.
I don't know what this is, though.
Is that right?
He shot the middle finger.
Oh. Didn't Patrick Reed do that too to Fleetwood? I saw a screenshot of Reed flipping the bird.
Maybe Reed did too. Do you know who he was flipping off?
DeChambeau?
Fred Ridley. I don't know.
It was not DeChambeau. The 15th green.
Oh, man.
He hit his approach, and he hit it into the pond that was in the front of the green. So he flipped the bird towards the pond and the green. So I guess the course.
Oh, so do you think it's okay that Reed flipped off Fleetwood, but flipping off the course is a step too far for the Masters?
It might be.
It's disrespecting
That's a good
the
question.
course.
What's a greater offense?
You can
flipping the bird to another golfer or like a fan or the course.
I'll bet you could do it to another golfer and not a patron. I bet they would get mad if you did it to a patron, but if it's another golfer, they're like, meh, whatever.
How many birds are flipped compared to the amount of birds on Jason Day's shirt is my question.
Good question.
By the end of the tournament.
Did he wear the bird shirt yesterday?
I think he wore all white. Like a white polo.
I think
I didn't see the bird shirt.
The hoodie came off. I think it was a hoodie that he had, the bird hoodie.
Gotcha.
Still, I will stand by that Melbourne stuff is a good look.
It's a look.
I know the guy at 3 o'clock is going to yell on the radio about that being wrong, but I don't care. I have my time now.
It's certainly a look. I'm waiting for the neck. Like, is one other person going to start doing it? It's just Jason Day.
There
right?
are some guys doing
other
a
guys?
little bit. Oberg's got a little bit of that stuff going sometimes. He wears some nifty pants, interesting polos.
All right, enjoy the weekend. Tampa, Boston tomorrow, 12:30. Montreal, Columbus at 7. Those will be exciting. Sabres in action Monday. Sal's got the Northtown Automotive Extra Point Show when we return on WGR.